What's up, everybody? Decided to go live again. Gonna slow down a little bit and try to take some of the rant out that I had yesterday. So successful on the first try, so I'll try to clean up some of the ranting that I did in a fun way, and we'll just have a conversation. I have a friend of mine that texted me a while ago, and he was like, man, just take time to teach people and have a conversation, which is cool. So I'll try to look at some of the comments below, but it kind of throws me off sometimes when I get going, because let's see, got some terrible connection right now. We got a lot of bad weather down here, so I'm gonna make sure I don't get on a spill before I can see if this thing's gonna stay connected. But anyways, didn't realize the video was gonna do so great, and I'm gonna try to slow it down. I'm not sure what all got caught on here, so anyways, you know, nothing that I tell you violates any kind of clearance. First off, I am an Army veteran and served this country honorably and respectfully. I was cut short from my service. I'm actually a disabled veteran, and so I did hold top secret clearance, but nothing I tell you in this video will violate clearance. Everything that happened right in front of you by law, straight in front of you. So also, so I got my little notes right here that I'm looking at. I'm also going to tell you why active duty and National Guard, nobody can tell you what's going on because it's an oath that they took. If you have a relative, a cousin, a dad, a mom, whomever, they cannot tell you what's going on because they took an oath. And if they take their service seriously, they won't tell you because, you know, like my buddy Kevin here that just hopped on, he can tell you your oath is everything to your country. And if you're serving for the right reasons, you will hold your oath. And so National Guard, active duty, civil patrol, defense contractors, right now, a lot of these guys are quiet and they're not going to tell you what's going on. They might just smile and grin or something like that and let you try to read between the lines, but they're not going to tell you what's going on right now. The only reason I can tell you what's going on right now is because, one, it happened right in front of you by law. Anything that's secret, it would either be told to us if you're in service with clearance, and depending on what your duty is, depending on what your role in the military is, depending on what your role in the government is, you would know that via that channel. But the other thing is this happened right in front of everybody. It happened by law. And our nation is a nation of laws. You know, go get a speeding ticket. If you don't believe me, go get a speeding ticket. And then go to court and tell the judge that that speeding sign, that sign is just a suggestion, that you don't agree with it. And what's he going to tell you? It's the same thing when people go through divorces, right? They don't want to know about the arguments. Now, they might want to know about cheating for the sake of alimony and things like that. But other than that, all attorneys and lawyers deal with are facts. They don't care about he said, she said, this stuff. It's a fact. So you as an American should know the foundation of your country. You should understand the foundation and the fabric of this nation, okay? If you don't like military law, military regulations, federal law, U.S. codes, there are 206 other countries that are full of fascism, communism, socialism, and all kind of other isms. They're well established in it. Go on over and get it. But there's enough people in America who want it to stay like it was founded. And they will fight for it. And we will fight tooth and nail to keep it the way it is. We're already doing that. And that's why you also have to understand that America's a fight every single day. When people tell me and buddies like my buddy here, my brother here, Kevin on here, that, oh, I'd fight for my country if I had to. You have to. You have to. America is on a piece of paper in the Smithsonian. You have to fight for it every single day. You have to do that. Everybody. Okay, now that don't necessarily mean that you have to go down and sign up for any branch of service, but you should want to know your foundation. You should want to know the principles of our nation. You should want to know the laws of our nation, and you should want to forward that. Teach your children that. So, you know, things like football and TV shows and everything else that we have in America is a privilege. It's a privilege. And unfortunately, we have so many veterans that don't even know law. They don't know military law. They don't know military regulations. They don't know their own branch regulations. Many, many veterans went in the military because of housing, because of paycheck, because of college benefits, because of medical benefits, because of dental benefits, not just for themselves, but for their children and for their loved ones. You can claim dependent. When you're in the military, you can claim dependence on a lot of people, not just your own blood children. Okay? And that's great and all. That's perfectly okay. But what are your motives for serving? What are your motives? Where's your heart and where's your mind? Why are you serving the military? Because when your number is called, when your ass is called up to go to war, there don't need to be any. I didn't sign up for this like some did that we were with. I didn't sign up for this. Oh, I didn't. No. Yes. You should have known when you went to MEPS, when you went to your capital of your state and you raised your right hand and you swore into the military that this is what military service is about. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. Okay? So, active duty, National Guard, and anybody else right now that are active right now serving cannot tell you what's going on. They're not going to tell you what's actually happening. Okay? So, I'm going to tell you just because I love law, I know law, I'm not an attorney, but I can interpret the law. You don't have to be an attorney to know what the law says. Okay? So, I don't know why Telegram and Charlie Kirk and all these other platforms out there aren't telling you what's happening. I have no clue why they don't do that. That's the only thing I have a problem with right now. Me personally, I have a problem with people who aren't showing you what's happening via the law. When it happened right in front of everybody. It's not a secret. If it was a secret, once again, it would only be people like me and other people who've had any kind of clearance or who are active duty, National Guard, or Civil Patrol, or some form of defense contractor where they cannot tell you what's going on as far as the direct missions. I'm not on the missions right now. I'm not on the direct missions, but I can look at, I've got a flight app pulled up right here as we speak. I can look at every aircraft on the screen and what they're doing because my MOS was air and missile defense. So I live and breathe that. I can tell you what kind of aircraft's in the sky and what kind of mission they serve and probably what they're doing. But I don't know exactly where they are on the ground and things like that. I can look at how high they are. I can look at everything like that. Let's just take a gander right here. Let's see here. Call sign Soda 91 is a KC-135 RT Stratotanker. And he is currently out of, Knoxville, Tennessee, which is a National Guard. And what is today is not the weekend. They're not where's the weekend warriors at, National Guard? It's not the weekend. What are you guys doing in the air? See, it's little things like that. So we're going to get back on the little strategy here. Let's get back over here. Okay, so I've had a lot of messages today too, which is really cool. And people were saying, man, my friends and everybody thought I was crazy. My friends think that I've lost my rocker. And I'm like, keep telling people because law is law. Okay? Opinions and things of that nature have nothing to do with law. When the law says it and when the law shows it, especially if you can visually see something in action, then you are not crazy. So I'm going to show you by law what's going on. Okay. Also, in my notes, I want to make sure I say this. Dear preachers and pastors out there, I am a Christian. I don't infringe on any of my friends who aren't. They know that. I serve with a lot of people in the military who know I never put my religion on them. I never put anything on them. I never, sat there and said, man, you ought to do this, or you should do this, or you should do that. I never did any of that, okay? But preachers and pastors all across this country, if you're on your platform, first off, you're what they call a bell sheep in the Bible. You're the bell sheep of your church. If you're preaching fear and tactics like that right now, and you're not studying or listening to a veteran like me, I know other veterans that go to church, and they know what I know. I'm not the only one who knows this, but nobody's listening to us. There's a disconnect between civilians and veterans, because if you didn't know me personally and you didn't see my DD-214, or you didn't see me in action, which none of you ever see us in action, first off, but if you didn't see me, then you think that we're crazy and all these other things when we're sitting here quoting law and we're quoting regulations. We're showing you symbols. We're showing you all that good stuff. So if you're a preacher and you're standing on your platform and you're preaching fear and terror to people, you're in the wrong yourself. Because nowhere in the Bible does it say to be careful. Nowhere in the Bible does it say anything like that. Matter of fact, the Bible says you will be persecuted and you will be what? Sometimes killed for your belief. And a lot of you preachers up there, all you want to do is preach this bull crap right here, pat you on the back just to get you in the door, okay? The Bible don't do that. Jesus Christ himself went in a temple and tore up the temple, yelling and screaming, you hypocrites, okay? There is a hell, and a lot of you people, a lot of you preachers aren't preaching that anymore. So if you want to be a true bell sheep, then you need to educate your congregation on what's actually happening right now by law. Law and regulations. They rule this country, okay? But there's a we the people who understand that, and there's a we the people who aren't really we the people because we don't identify with them. But there's a portion of this country who wants to change this country, all right? And it's not going to happen. Not over a lot of the dead bodies that I know that's willing to fight for it to keep it like it is. Okay? So you got to understand that law is why we are in this. Our nation's based on law. It's real simple. Okay? So I'm going to bring my breath back down. I get to preaching myself. And I'm going to lay out this blueprint of why and how Donald Trump is your president by law, not voter fraud and not this other bull crap, all this stuff that's on Telegram, JFK still alive and this, that, and other. Throw that bull crap out the window. We're going by law and order. Law and order. No different than like the example I just said, go get you a speeding ticket or go get you a divorce and you hire an attorney. Law and order. All the other stuff, throw it out the window. Also take your opinions right now on however old you are and however you grew up. If you're gay, straight, atheist, this, throw that out the window, okay? None of that has anything to do with this, okay? Well, it's like I said yesterday in the video. It has everything to do with it, but it doesn't, okay? It's like a cool kind of double standard where it doesn't, but it does. The Constitution protects you as a whole, okay? And too many people misconstrue that through the years. Okay, so here's how Donald Trump is still your president by law. All right, I'm going to take you through, we're going to try to do this chronological order, but you got to hang with me. Campaign Trail 2016. Donald Trump laid down what we call in the military optics. Optics. Okay, it's verbal, but you'll see it in a different kind of way. It's called an optic. It's not the way the average person sees it. Military, we are able to do what attorneys do and lay out all this other stuff, but look at the facts and look at key words and look at key colors and look at key numbers. We can lay out stuff and know what's going on that way, okay? And you don't have to be a veteran and you don't have to be in the military to understand it. You just have to be willing to step outside of what you've always known or what you thought you knew and step outside and have someone lay out law to you, U.S. law, that matters, okay? So on the campaign trail in 2016, Donald Trump laid down what we call optics, all right? And one night in particular, was a night where they had all of the Republicans on the stage for a purpose. They did this for a purpose. They got every Republican on that stage. And Jeb Bush, of all people, corrupt Bushes. A lot of you are going to find out the Bushes are corrupt too. I will show that in a minute. But Jeb Bush asked Donald Trump a question. And Donald Trump, being the smartass that I love, because we all need smartasses in our life. Smartasses are people who actually are non-filtered mouth, right? And we just say what needs to be said. And sometimes, yeah, we don't get invited to the parties because that party might be somewhere you don't need us. Because we will say something to somebody, okay? And my man, my smartass man, says this. Okay, so Jeb Bush goes, who will back you, who will support you, and who will vote for you? And old smartass says this. Well, first off, that's a loaded question. That's actually more than one question. So if I'm allowed the time, I will answer that. One, who will vote for me? He said, people, the American people, are tired of bullshit politicians like you. Every one of you on this stage has held office no less than 4 years. And every one of you get on this stage and you tell the American people what they want to hear and what they need to hear to get your vote, to get the vote and get you in office, and then you don't do anything you ever said you'd do. And you pad your pockets and all kinds of other things. Then he combined the other two together, which I love. It's been a conspiracy theory for over 60 years, okay? But it's not a conspiracy theory because the conspiracy theory is actual truth, okay? Military people know this, especially if you've ever known a general or a colonel or anybody who lives and breathes military law. Donald Trump said what the left and the liberals call a conspiracy theory, all right? But it was optics for someone like me to go sit up in the chair and go, oh, did you hear what he just said? Did you hear what he just said, y'all? Hey, text your buddies. And you're texting the military guys, say, hey, did you hear what Trump just said? He just dropped what we've known as a conspiracy theory that's been said for years. Donald Trump specifically said, I have over 200 generals backing me right now. Okay? I said that to a Marine recently. He's 84 years old. He had no clue. He wasn't paying attention to what had been going on. When I said that, his eyes lit up. He said, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. And we were sitting amongst a group of people, and those people had no clue. They thought this guy was fading off into the sunset at his age. No, it's happening. It's happening, people. And when you hear 200 generals, you average Americans, you think that it's just 200 individuals. It's not. It's 200 generals and their divisions. And in a division, there's 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers. Okay? I said, sir, hold on, sir. I'm not done, sir. Not only does he have 200 generals backing him, he has 800 generals backing him. Not just U.S. generals, but world generals backing him. Okay? So, man, you talking about it getting excited? So Donald Trump laid that groundwork down. He laid it right in front of you like that. The other thing he said right after that, not in the same question, but the other thing he said that night was never again will we announce to our enemies our plans. Okay? And here's a little thing I don't think y'all understand about military. If you don't know someone military, but especially if you don't know someone that's ever quoted any of this to you, military law, military regulations, symbolizations, optics, operations, U.S. law, federal law, U.S. codes, let's keep going here. When you raise your right hand, when you take an oath, I took my oath in Montgomery, Alabama. Okay, that's where I swore in for military. When I raise my right hand, you say, I state your name, do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear to uphold the what? Constitution, okay? The Constitution. And I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. Most people don't even know what the word bear means anymore, okay? So it's like, you have these very powerful words in this sentence. I will support and defend. It didn't say defend and support. It says support and defend. You have to support it before you can defend it, okay? That's where a lot of people don't even pay attention to words anymore. Women can really testify to this. Females love this because most males don't listen. They don't listen to words. They don't hear words. They don't listen to the difference in and or but or yet and this. They don't support and defend. You can't defend something if you don't support it first. Okay? Support and defend the Constitution. And will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, which means you will do anything in your power to defend this nation. And it also says what, ladies and gents? It also says against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It don't say foreign or domestic. It says foreign and domestic. Okay? And that's in Title 10 of the Constitution. Which brings me to my next point. Marbury versus Madison, 1803. Because even back then, in our foundation, we already had a few that didn't like certain things. It wasn't as bad as it is now, but we had a few. Okay? Marbury versus Madison went to court, and it specifically says in Marbury versus Madison, any law that bears the appearance, there's that word again, bears. Any law that bears the appearance of a law that does not support the Constitution is null and void. Imagine that. And I'm going to show you later, as I work down my little paper here, I'm going to show you later where it became even more null and void throughout the years and why we look the way we look via law. Because we have a lot of laws that don't mean anything because they don't back the what? The Constitution. Okay, so everything that Donald Trump said on the 2016 campaign trail came to fruition. It's still coming to fruition because this is what we call a covert operation. Okay, military, we call it a covert operation. You, the people, weren't going to know about it initially because Donald Trump said, you, the people, will never know again what happens with the military. Now, if you were sitting there paying attention to his laws, and you were paying attention to his acts, and you were paying attention to all the visual operations that were going on, you could have known what was going on. Yes, you could have. It wasn't secret. This all happened right in front of you. He was the most transparent president in history for a reason. He was on TV every single day for a reason. The military did this for a reason. They put him on TV every single day signing something or visiting somewhere for a reason. Okay? So everything he said verbally and by law has come to fruition and is still going to come to fruition. And it was up for you to wake your asses up. And that's as smart as I'm going to be tonight. Wake your asses up. Okay? So you're going to understand later. I'm going to show you later why Biden is a puppet. But first, you got to wake your asses up. We ought to title this video, Wake Your Asses Up. It's going to be like the Steve Harvey version. Wake your asses up. Okay? So let's back up a little bit. Military foundation. Here's what you got to understand about the military. Military came before everything else in this country. The military law came before everything else in this country. All right, I love all my buddies. I've got buddies in the Air Force. I got buddies in the Navy. I got buddies in the Coast Guard. I got buddies in the Marines. Love you guys. But tonight, I get to brag a little bit on the United States Army, which I served in. Okay, the Army was founded first, June the 14th, 1775. Okay, the very first articles of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is military law, was written June the 30th, 1775. Okay? Do your math there. 1775. Long before what? The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Okay? Then, after military law, October the 13th, 1775, came the United States Navy, and November the 10th, 1775, came the United States Marines. Okay? We didn't need an Air Force at the time. Duh. So, okay. Military law. Military law came before the Declaration of Independence and the Constitutions. But here's the most powerful thing out of everything that most Americans have never thought of. Our founders, and by the way, I am a son of the Revolution and I'm a son of the Confederacy. So all the way back to my lineage comes from the Mayflower. Okay, and they fought in the Revolutionary War. But our founders, they signed the Declaration of Independence. They declared independence 7 years before the war ended. Imagine that. Just think of that. They were hell-bent to win that war. They were hell-bent not to go back to what they came from. That is how smart they are and were. Brilliant men. They declared independence 7 years before the war ended. Then it was another 4 years before the Constitution was even written. How is that so hard to comprehend for people out there? Okay, but how brilliant these men were. Okay, and another thing I'm going to get on while we're waking people's asses up. I hope this video gets to Colin Kaepernick. Mr. Afro Man, Mr. Sucks at quarterback. He sucked so bad at quarterback, he had to become an activist. Okay? And whoever the asshole was, the Special Forces guy who got on national TV with his sorry ass and said, I support him and I'm a United States veteran, screw you too, because you don't know military law and you don't know military regulation and you don't have people that you care for, like my buddies here watching, that are veterans. You are a disgrace to the uniform you served in, okay? Yes, everybody has freedom of speech, but how do they get it? If your freedom of speech doesn't back mine, because mine is backed by the Constitution and mine is backed by the foundation, then mine trumps yours, all pun intended. Okay, so Mr. Colin Kaepernick, you're about to get a little history lesson here for your ass too, okay? Because no coincidence, on June the 14th, 1775, the Army was founded. Guess what was also founded on June the 14th, which is also Donald Trump's birthday. No coincidence with the man upstairs. Okay, June 14th, 1777, guess what was sworn into Congress? The United States flag. Okay, June the 14th, 1777, 2 years on the Army's birthday. Okay, and 51 days later, get this, 51 days later, guess where it first took flight? At the Battle of Oriskany in New York. And it was one of the bloodiest battles of the Revolutionary War. It first took flight on a military foundation, on a military base, Mr. Kaepernick. So when you tell me that the flag doesn't represent the people anymore, first off, you asshole, it never represented you in the first place. It represented the military first. And then the people adopted it because they were appreciative of the military, which gives them the freedom to live and to live how they want in this country. So stand your ass up or get your ass off the field. You suck anyway. God, how Americans patronize some dude who sucks already as a football player. Blows my mind. Battle of Oriskany. Here's another optic for you. I'm going to teach you optics later. But here's you an optic, okay? Guess what the Battle of Oriskany is now? A maritime college. Yeah, wait till I bring that up. All right. CIC versus president. Here's another thing you got to understand. The commander-in-chief is the highest rank in military. He is the commander-in-chief over the Uniform Code of Military Justice. He is the commander-in-chief over military law. He's not commander-in-chief over civilians. He's not president over soldiers. Okay? He's president over federal law, and he's commander-in-chief over military law, which should tell you right there that he has what? He has war powers, and he can become what? Commander-in-chief. He can step down as president. He can step up as commander-in-chief. It's two separate roles, two separate duties, two separate laws. And our founders created that, which is why you got to understand your foundation and understand military. Khovar operation. Now, you got to go back to, why did you not know? Well, it's either because you didn't know law, regulations, or a veteran who does know that, and you weren't paying attention. I don't mean that in a bad way this time. I don't mean that. I'm getting to a point here. But this operation was to be controlled. Okay, if the military came out in a General Assembly right now and they told you, the people, what all has happened, I mean, if they laid out every single thing that's happened over the last just 10 years, the average person could not take it right here. You wouldn't be able to take it. You couldn't comprehend it. You wouldn't understand it. It would just blow your mind. Okay, fast forward. October 2016, after all the campaigning, at the Al Smith charity dinner. It's on YouTube. I've got it in my 6 documents. Real quick, I'll tell you before we move on. I have 6 Google documents that are getting used by guys on Rumble now and guys on Telegram. It's all military law, military regulations, federal law, and U.S. codes and symbols and optics of what has happened since January 20th, 2017 to present day. All right? All I need is an email address, Gmail preferable because it's on a Google Doc, but it's okay if you don't. No cost. It ain't something that's a power trip for me. It's like my buddy that texted me earlier. I'm trying to teach you guys just straight up law, regulations, things you didn't know. I've got every link in there. You don't have to do your own research. I've got every single link to every .gov, .mil, .us. All I need is an email address. I'll add you on it. It's no cost. I'm not trying to build a platform here. I'm just a God-loving, God-fearing, blue-collared patriot who loves my country, who fought for the right reasons, served for the right reasons. I'm an honorable veteran. I love this country. I love my brothers. I love my sisters. I love my family. And I want it to prosper, okay, until either I die or the good Lord comes and gets me by the sky or by the grave or whatever you believe in, whatever comes to get you, then that's how I want to go. And I want to be able to live it out. I want my gay friends to be happy. I want my atheist friends to be happy. I want everybody to be happy and safe because they have to make that choice. You have to make your choice. You have to take your last breath. Not me. I don't take it for you. So that's what people have to understand. Christians out there especially, you have a vital role in this. Very vital role. You need to just be a Christian and be an example. And if someone wants what you got, they'll want it. It's like me in the military. I walked around and I led by example. And people came to me and said, man, what do you got? What you got, I want to have. Okay, that's called leading by example. You don't put what you got on people. Okay, because, you know, people already think right here watching this video that I might have anger issues just because I have a personality and I'm expressing something. Okay, so those 6 Google Docs, it's going to take reading. Americans right now, the average attention span, I think is like 2 minutes. Americans want a 2-minute explanation on a 200-year problem. And that's why we are where we are right now. That's why we have the problem we have right now. Okay, it's because people don't want to listen. They don't want to hear things that matter. They want to get on Facebook. When people post about the president, who they think is president, Biden ain't president. I'm going to show you how and why by law. But when people post about gas prices and things like that, the president has no control directly over gas prices. He does by policy, but he don't by his gas prices. Okay, so it's like, come on, people, get with it. The companies have to make a living. Companies have to pay expenses. Companies have to pay, right? They have people, they have staff, they have taxes themselves, they have expenses, they have overhead, they have rent, they have all these things they have to pay for. Well, where are you people? Well, we the people created a system in the first place. We the people created trade. We the people created barter and companies and going out to eat at restaurants. My whole life growing up, we cooked so much at home and we had a little garden and things like that. Going out for us was a cool treat, right? We had the money to do it. My family blessed me. I don't take it for granted, but I'm just saying, like, where you are today, you're the most spoiled people in America. Spoiled. Spoiled rotten. Okay, so off the Google Docs, if you want me to add you, send me a personal message. I will add you. If you got any friends, I'll add them. So let's get back. Okay, Donald Trump, the final optic before this operation went into play. October 2016 is on the YouTube video. I got the link. You don't have to look it up. He roasted Hillary at the Al Smith charity dinner. Roasted her. And it was all optics. It was everything he said he would do that's already come to fruition. Like when you watch and listen to what he said, everything he said actually happened. Okay? And it wasn't things like, I'm going to get in office. When I get in office, I'm going to talk about how your bad hair day was or something like that. It wasn't anything like that. It was like major implications, major law, major military, major everything. So when you go back and listen to it, and then you go look at what happened in my documents, and you read everything that came to fruition, you're going to be like, man, this is legit. And you're not crazy. So all of you out there who have friends, now we got to be diligent with them, and we have to be patient with them. We can't get mad at them. We can't call them names like I want to sometimes. You can't shake them into understanding this stuff. So you have to be diligent, but you have to know your stuff. You do have to be on top of it. And I realize it's a lot of information. What I'm about to show you is a lot of information. But once you learn it, it's not something that changes. These are already happened. It's already in law. It's already happening. And you're behind you're okay, but you're behind from the standpoint of you weren't supposed to know yet. And that's the unfortunate thing I hate about where we are. I personally would like it to be a little bit more visual. But I also understand that the average American would not be able to handle all the information, but also all of the corruption and some of the dirty things that have happened. Child trafficking, sex trafficking, sexual abuse. I mean, there's so much stuff that the average brain cannot comprehend that has happened. All right, here we go. It's going to get more fun now. First, you got to understand, however old you are, like I've said, you got to be able to step outside of what you've been taught, what you've been trained, what you thought about of America. It ain't what you thought it was, okay? And I also understand the questions. I've had this question a million times. Well, why didn't they do something before now? Well, anybody could say that. Anybody could say that in personal lives. People who've been abused, or someone who's verbally abusive or physically abusive. Why didn't they do something before it? Well, anybody could say that. But what you have to do is step back and understand military a little bit, and I'm going to help you with that. Military needs strength in numbers. The Bible even says that, where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name and come together and join hands. Well, 2 is better than 1, 3 is better than 2, 4 is better than 3, 5. Let's just keep going, right? So strength in numbers. Well, over the last 150 years, the government has been so corrupt that those numbers built up too, okay? And you got to go back to we the people. Who are we the people? Who legislates law? I've heard so many people say, oh, well, that's Congress's job. Oh, that's so-and-so's job. That's out of my pay grade. No, it's not. No, it's not. Who put them there? How did they get that job? Why do we pay them? We could throw a revolution too, and that's what we're doing. But I'm saying we could have done this long before, had people listen to people like me. We could have thrown a revolution. That's what our fathers did. That's what our founding fathers did. They threw a revolution. They said no more, and they fought for it. We could do that at any point. We could get back out there in them fields and in the woods and in the pastures and the creeks and you name it, and we could do this again. It'd look a lot different than way back then, but we could do it again, just like at the Civil War. But not everybody fought in the Civil War either. That's the other thing. Not everybody fights for this stuff, okay? So there's only a few of us. So if you're going to whine, complain, gripe, and moan on your social media out there, but you ain't doing anything about it, you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem if you're not doing anything about it. So step outside of what you think you knew America was. Now, thank God there's enough of us in strength in numbers that finally stood up and had the backbone to do this. But I'm going to show you by law. 1871, history and Google will tell you that Ulysses S. Grant went bankrupt in his personal life. He did, but he also bankrupted America because he was a crappy president, okay? He signed a treaty called the Treaty of 1871, which made the United States a corporation by law. It's in our law books. Now, the attorneys and the SEOs now that we have internet and all these search engine optimizations, all these teams out there, the government, they've made it to where you, the average person, has trouble finding the link to it. You can't just go to Google and click in 1871 corporation. No, you got to know someone like me or someone who knows how to figure the keywords out and find it. I've got all that in the Google Docs, so don't worry about doing that right now. Just listen. 1871, the United States of America became a corporation. Not the United States anymore. Not the United States based on the Constitution. A corporation. All right, the District of Columbia, D.C. What y'all call D.C. is actually the District of Columbia. It has a little brown gray barrier around it on my little flight app right here. Let me see if I can pull it up. It probably won't show on the screen, but it has a little square around it, okay? It is in law, by law, definition law, it is a foreign territory. It is not a city. It is not a state. It is a foreign territory, okay? And it has its own law in that gridlock, okay? That's what you have to understand. It became a corporation, the United States. And from that day forward, everything started getting corrupt. I have a buddy on here who's watching right now. He's an attorney. He probably won't like what I'm about to say, but he will also love what I'm about to say because he is one of the good attorneys out there. When he introduces himself, he says, I'm not like all attorneys. And he ain't. I can actually vouch for this guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he's not like all attorneys, okay? In 1871, guess what also happened? The bar was created. What is the bar? You've all heard people say, I got to take the bar today. I've got to take the bar. I passed the bar today. Most of the people I know that passed the bar meant they went down to the bar and had a drink and they came out not drunk. No, the bar exam. What is the bar? Okay? And why the hell are our attorneys registering for the bar? You ever think of that? No, you probably haven't. But most people don't even know what the bar represents. Bar, British Accreditation Registry. Why in the hell are our attorneys registering for the country that we fought our independence and beat their ass for? Who also revolted in 1812 and we kicked that ass again in what they call the War of 1812. How is that so difficult to understand? You know, it's like I've been telling this to a lot of people. And a lot of people who are watching who already knew that, that's why I make comments like that. Why is it so hard to understand? Okay? So, the corporation's motto, this is what you got to look at. Look at what happened between 1871 to present day. Look at what happened. Okay? Think of everything that's happened in your lifetime, your grandparents' lifetime, my grandparents' lifetime. Look at slavery and look at segregation and all these things. The corporation's motto is this: create a problem there's already a solution to. So when they go out there and they have you see these riots, then you see a speech that they already have a solution to what they created. Now it's up to you to understand that they created that problem. That's where you have to understand that. You have to look that up and go, holy crap. Why do they always have a solution to these problems? And then you got people like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and all these turds out there who are selling books and making money off of you. You know, I don't want to get on this topic because people will get, I shouldn't do this. But, you know, look at all of the poor places. Look at all the places, especially in the South. Look at the people who have been promised and promised and promised and promised and promised. Who's still rich? Who's still poor? Create a problem you already have a solution to. Because chaos and division equals what? Power acquisition. And you got to learn that. You got to understand that. So it don't matter if you're black, Hispanic, white, whatever you are out there. If you've been promised all this stuff, you need to wake your asses up. Because why? You have to work in this country. We have a system for a reason. And you either support it or you're trying to abuse it. Okay? I said it. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that, but I said it. You either support it or you're trying to abuse it. Okay? And which one are you? I know way too many who love this country. Way too many who fight for it. All races, all nationalities, all kinds of livelihoods. Gays, atheists, Buddhists, you name it. All right? So you got to understand that power acquisition. It's a very powerful word. 2 words. All right. Donald Trump. Let's get into what Donald Trump did. And it's also going to show you how he's still president by law. So we're going to put these two together. Donald Trump is still your president by law and order. Not voter fraud. Not voter fraud. That happened, but that's been happening. Okay? Here's why he's president by law and order. Executive Order 13799, which is the establishment of the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. One of the first executive orders he signed. Okay? He established an advisory committee. Okay? So then you move on forward. He signed the most monumental, historical executive order second to the Declaration of Independence. Executive Order 13848, and I love breaking this one down, and my mother and different people love when I break this one down. This one alone tells you why and how Donald Trump is your president alone. Okay? Executive Order 13848 was signed September the 18th, 2018. Inside that order, when you click on it and it goes to the .gov site, goes over to the Federal Registry, where all executive orders are posted. When you go look at it, inside that order, it specifically lays out this right here. 4 different things. All right? It does this. 1, he issued a national emergency inside an executive order. 2, he issued maritime law inside that executive order. 3 and 4, he assigned an election committee, and he also put in there the days, 60 days and 60 days, 120 days of which they would report to. Okay, here's the fun kind of cool catch. It's no catch because it's law, but here's what's cool about it. Inside that order, he specifically put the date of which it would activate. Most executive orders activate the day it's signed because that's why it's called an executive order. It is automatic law signed by the president. It didn't go into automatic law. It activated by date inside that order November the 3rd, 2020. How did President Trump know to write an executive order with a national emergency and maritime law to go into effect on September the 18th, 2018, to activate 2 years later on November the 3rd, 2020, which was Election Day? How did he know to do that if he didn't already know? And why and how did he already know? Military intelligence. You guys out there, you'll go on your 4th of July's and your Veterans Day and everything else, sitting around when you meet a veteran, when you see a veteran, and you want to brag about how we're the most badass military in the world. But when it comes to intelligence, and we're sitting here telling you by law, I don't know. I hope you're right. Well, it ain't about being right. It's law. And you're visually seeing it happen in front of you. And I'm going to show you how you're visually seeing it here shortly. Okay? On Election Day, 4-star General Nakasone tweeted a tweet on November the 3rd, 2020. I've got this all in the document. So everything moving forward is all in the documents. You ain't got to look it up. 4-star General Nakasone tweeted on Election Day, as tens of millions of Americans go to the poll, we have the NSA and the Cyber Command watching all around the world with our partners. Why do we need partners looking all around the world for our elections? Imagine that. In hopes that we learn what we learned from 2018. When you read the text, when you read the tweet, you'll see, holy crap, they already knew. Why did they already know? Because Lou Dobbs got fired from CNN in 2008 for saying Dominion systems are going to have implications down the road on future elections. He got fired for saying that. That's why Fox News hired him before they went liberal, before they went woke. Okay? 2008, he said that. Okay? So when you look at everything that happened, Donald Trump got his intelligence from military generals. And American people, we have a disconnect between civilians and military. You don't want to listen to us when it comes to generals. You don't want to listen to guys like me because you think, oh, he wasn't a general, he wasn't a colonel, he wasn't high ranking. It's all what's right here. And if you know military law, military regulations, military symbols, military optics, military operations, the Constitution, federal law, and U.S. codes. Because most of you don't know that. Most of you, I was saving this for later, but 75% of Americans cannot name the three branches of government. That's how freaking stupid we are as a nation. 75% of 335 million people cannot simply name the three branches of government. Okay? That's how dumb this nation is. But when a veteran tells you by military law and military regulations what is going on in this country, I'm crazy. Are you serious right now? Like, why did I even serve? That makes every veteran in this country that knows that stuff go, why did I even serve? Why did I put my ass on the line for you if everything by law don't mean anything? And everything I'm witnessing right now on this flight app, as we speak, there's probably still at least 100 aircraft in the sky as we speak right now. More than that. It's still uploading. Probably 300 in the sky. As we speak, it's 7:53 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, so General Nakasone tweeted that. Let's move forward. Executive Order 13885, which is also a brilliant order. It's 14 pages long alone. 14-page executive order. This is the one I personally love because all the liberals out there call people like me a conspiracy theorist. Okay? They've learned the term the Q now. QAnoners and Q. Well, why did President Trump write an executive order called the Quantum Initiative? The National Quantum Initiative. Executive order. Automatic law. National Quantum Initiative. Also along with it, he wrote a National Quantum Act. So not only is it an executive order, it's also an act. All right. Then he established the 19 agencies in it. 17 of those, 17, that number is going to come up here in a minute as an optic. 17 of those 19 agencies are military-related agencies. 17 of them. All right. Just this past week, a buddy of mine texted me, Air Force guy, said, were you right or were you right? I said, bro, it ain't about me being right. It's about military law and military regulations. I'm always going to beat it like a dead horse. This ain't about me being right. I'm just interpreting it for you. The Army transfers all communications to the Space Force where it will be under one command. One person making that call. Who is that person? Well, who eliminated the Air Force space program and created the independent space program? Who was that? Did someone say President Trump? Because you're correct. President Trump created the Space Force program, the independent Space Force program. President Trump signed the National Quantum Initiative. President Trump signed the National Quantum Act. President Trump signed executive orders called Artificial Intelligence, Space Council, also the 1776 Commission. Imagine that. You ought to go read that one. That one would definitely shake you up. Also, let me get this straight. If Q is a conspiracy theory, okay, then why did Biden, who y'all think is president, why did he extend the national quantum system? Okay, I'm going to show you what optics are in a minute. But just for the sake of right now, most of you watching think that President Biden is actually president. He's not. Not by law. I'm going to show you why. So, if the Q is a conspiracy theory, then that means those orders and all that law was bullshit, and it's for naught. It's just, okay, well, let's just do this. Let's just keep tricking the people. Okay, so if the Q is a conspiracy theory, then I guess the Constitution is crap. It's false. Okay, military law is crap. Military regulation is crap. Military symbolization is crap. Military optics is crap. Military operations is crap. The federal law is crap. And also U.S. codes are crap. So all that's crap if that's crap. If that law is crap, then all of it's crap. Let's move forward. Executive Order 13959, signed November the 12th, 2020. Executive Order 13959, President Trump signed in there specifically. He put this specific date. It says specifically on January the 11th, 2021, at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, anybody who uses stocks and funds, the stock market, basically, stocks and funds to fund the Chinese Communist Party, assets will be frozen effective immediately on January the 11th after 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And immediately after that, guess who lost their asses? GameStop was one of them, okay? There was a bunch of people, bunch of companies you've never heard of. Over 1,300 CEOs have stepped down since that day. Also, Jeff Bezos stepped down from Amazon for philanthropy reasons. Get out of here, okay? Also, Bill Gates and his wife announced divorce, okay? There's a reason why they announced divorce, because in the state of Mississippi and the state of Florida, those two states alone, when you divorce, you can do a thing called a technical divorce where your spouse can take half of your money and no one can do anything with it. See why it pays to understand and know law? Also, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett stepped down from the Bill Gates Foundation. Imagine that. So all these people started stepping down. The other thing I have a link to, every single day since then, Mark Zuckerberg has dumped stocks every day, $25 million in stocks every single day to this present day. So the military is in control. President Trump said it best. We have it all. We've caught them all. All crimes and evidence will be displayed to the public in full accordance to the law. Everything he said was an optic for you to understand. Everything he said is coming into fruition. Everything he said is happening right in front of you. And most of it happened by law, right in front of you. Okay. Same year, same time period when he's writing these executive orders. All throughout 2020, you heard the Democrats calling the nuclear option. We have a nuclear option for Trump. We have a nuclear option that we can use on Trump if we have to. Okay? Y'all weren't paying attention to that. Y'all heard it, but you didn't listen. You saw it, but you didn't see it. Right? It's this old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. Nuclear option. We have a nuclear option. Donald Trump was making a monumental trade deal with President Xi of China. He was set to announce that 2 weeks after the State of the Union address. It was going to unravel, and show this awesome trade that he set up with President Xi of China. Okay? Go to February the 4th, 2020. The State of the Union address. Donald Trump gets up. Everybody's watching drama. You Americans love drama more than anybody. You don't love facts. You don't love veterans who quote you facts. Y'all love bullshit drama like the Kardashians and Ozark and all these other things. That's all you care about at the end of the day. Most of you. Not all of you. This is going to the people who are watching that aren't daily watchers or know me. These are for all you that didn't know this. Okay? Drama. You watch Nancy Pelosi, you watch all these women in white hold their arms up when Donald Trump honored a woman, a female, Okay, we identify females when we need to, right? No, all the time. A female for Donald Trump gets up, the women sit down. But when someone else gets recognized that they know was a Democrat or voted on the liberal side of things, they all stood up and they held their arm up like this. Okay? So, bullshit. All bullshit. It was all an optic, though. See, guys like me know what was going on. We know that starting January the 20th, 2017 was all optics because of what Trump had already laid down on the campaign trail before he was president. Okay? So you, the average American, are watching this drama-filled movie. Okay? It's pretty good, I have to admit. So it's kind of cool. It's like the guys sitting there telling them, hey, go over there and do this. And they're like, oh, man, I don't want to stand naked in front of them. It's like that show. So Donald Trump, he gets up there and he specifically says COVID. He said COVID before anybody ever heard the term COVID. He said it in that speech. It wasn't a big topic in that speech, but if you go back and watch it, which you can't because YouTube and everybody else deleted all these videos, they deleted all the evidence. So he specifically says COVID. He was the first to mention the word COVID. Y'all watched Nancy Pelosi tear up his speech. Y'all are focused on the drama, and guys like me were focused on words and things and keywords and key symbols, okay? So 2 weeks later, he was going to roll out this plan. Never happened because why? They released COVID. COVID, you guys, this whole mask and everything, you proved what people had said for years. Even preachers said this. The good preachers out there said that the American people are a hair away from being controlled. And every one of you that wore a mask, and every one of you that took this vaccine, every one of you, I'm sorry. I've got family who did too. I have to tell the truth. If I'm laying out laws and facts, I got to lay it out here. I'm sorry. But if you took the vaccine and if you wore a mask, you are no different than 13.8 million Jews who got on the damn train and went right off to slaughter. Okay? Because you never stop to think, wow, I've got buddies that got on this train and they didn't come back. No one ever stopped to think that. See, that's why you need guys like me, veterans like me, and people like me, not just veterans, but people like me to just be non-filtered and tell you the point blank facts. Because why didn't people back then? 13.8 million people. Think of that. That's New York City and LA. 13.8 million people get on a damn train and go to their death. And then sitting there in concentration camps, how come none of them tried to revolt? How come none of them tried to run? How come none of them tried to fight? At least fight for the death, not get shot in the back. No one ever thinks of that. No one wants to think of that because it's a sensitive subject. And when someone like me says that, oh my God, did he just say that? Yeah, I said it because you need to hear it. Why did you let people tell you what to do that have no power over you? If you want to die, if you want to die, if it was a legit pandemic and you want to die, then freaking don't worry, just die. It's no different than anything else. You know, why don't you take your vitamins every morning? Why don't I call out a friend right here? Let me just say, Jenny, hey, you need to take your vitamins this morning because your vitamins help me. You know how dumb that sounds? Oh my God. You know, it's some of this stuff's so simple that it's stupid. You know that old saying, there's a saying in business, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Okay, moving on. Powers of the president. The president has powers that most of y'all don't know about. All right? And the New York Times on April the 10th, 2020, did an article. It said, powers, Trump has powers we aren't allowed to know about. Oh my God. Trump has powers we're not allowed to know about. He has the same powers as every other president has. Same powers. Same exact constitution. Same exact constitution they misconstrued, they've misused, and they've overused to fit their narrative for 150 years. Same powers. The media will also be tried in military tribunals for crimes against humanity, fraud, and treason. No one that participated in this is getting off scot-free. When the military tribunals happen, everybody that participated in this will also get punished for that. That's why Trump kept saying fake news, fake news, fake news. Any journalist, any writer who put that kind of bullshit propaganda out there, They will get tried too in military court, what we call Guantanamo Bay, Gitmo. I'm going to bring up Gitmo in a minute. The powers of the president. President has the power to shut down TV broadcasts and also the internet. He has the power to shut it down. So if he has the power to shut it down, that should also tell you he has what? The power to do what? Control what's going through it. All right, so all of you guys are watching Fox News and CNN and MSNBC or whatever you watch out there, even OAN, even some of the One News and all these, they're being told what they can say. All right, it's a covert operation. Military is in complete control, and I'm going to show you how in a minute. We're getting to that. I'm walking us down from 2017 all the way to present day. So hang with me. All right, chronological order here. President Trump, though, has the same powers as every other president. I'm going to name them real quick. Military law, military regulations, executive orders, national emergencies, presidential emergency active document, which is called a PED, the Insurrection Act of 1807, the Stafford Act, the National Emergencies Act, Title 10, Title 32, and also 47 United States Code 606. He has all of those, and even more. But those are your most important for military sake and what's going on sake, because I'm only telling y'all what's going on. So let's move forward. January the 6th, here's your other drama-filled day. You guys were focused on January the 6th and the drama behind it. You didn't realize that January the 6th is a constitutional process that our founders put into place to confirm the president, okay? President Trump already knew. He already knew January 6th was not going to go the way it went and what y'all witnessed, because it was all an operation. Everything you're watching is an operation. It was visual optics for guys like me. We already knew what was going on based on this. Let's go back to Executive Order 13848, where those dates were put in there. You remember what I said earlier, 60 days and 60 days, the 120 days? 60 days on to November the 3rd, 2020 brings you to January the 2nd, 2021. January the 2nd, 2021. Okay? So 4 days before what y'all thought was a insurrection. Okay? Not an insurrection. Going to bring that up in a minute. But 4 days before, okay, Trump signed an executive order 13919 on April the 30th, 2020, that put in that order, the Secretary of Defense has full authorization to activate all reserve components of the military if needed. I know I'm spitting a lot of information out at you. Executive Order 13919 gave the Secretary of Defense, his Secretary of Defense, full authority to activate the reserve components of the military if needed. We have never activated all 50 states at one time in United States history, and it happened right in front of your eyes. Right in front of you. And you were all watching Nancy Pelosi's bullshit, which was an optic. You were all watching all this other stuff going on that was all drama-filled because you hadn't paid attention to law from 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. Went right over your heads. Americans focus on all the wrong things. You don't know your foundation. 75% of America can't name the 3 branches of government. 50% of America can't take a blank map of the United States and fill in the states. 50%. But y'all dang sure went and changed your little profile picture and put a Ukraine flag up. And most of you can't even put your own state on the map, much less tell me where Ukraine is over the big pond. That's where we are in America. That's why we look why we look. That's why it looks stupid. That's why it looks asinine and crazy. Executive Order 13919. So you got to compile all this together. You guys are watching the drama, and guys like me are going, man, this is getting fun. This is getting exciting. Okay? January the 6th, Trump already knew because of his executive orders. His executive orders already showed you he knew what was going to take place. So, January the 2nd, the first 60 days, told him what was going to happen. He knew that Congress wasn't going to back him. He declared 3 national emergencies, 1 by the order and 2 more with FEMA in 2020. let's go back to the national emergencies. I didn't address that. National emergencies, which was in the Executive Order 13848, in a national emergency must be addressed by Congress. That Congress. Not Congress 2 years down the road, not Congress 10 years down the road, that Congress. Congress did not address any of Donald Trump's national emergencies or presidential emergencies. None of them addressed it, which was what their nuclear option was. They tried to impeach him over a phone call. All this is going to come back to haunt them because of optics. What happened in Nixon? Trump tweeted August the 8th, 2022. He tweeted about Nixon. Optics. Here's you an optic real quick. He tweeted on August the 8th. He didn't tweet, but he did his little Truth Social tweet. August the 8th. You know what August the 8th was in history? August the 8th was the date that Nixon stepped down as president. All of this is optics. No coincidence. And I'm going to bring you another coincidence coming in strong right now. The other 60 days in the order takes you to March the 3rd, 2021. Do you know what the original inauguration date was in United States history? March the 4th. March the 4th. It's also the day that the press secretary was created. March the 4th holds a lot of significance in this. Okay, the last 60 days of Executive Order 13848 takes you to March the 3rd, 2021, which was also the date that the troops started going back home to their states. But they're still active, and I'm going to show you how. So, January the 6th, Constitutional Republic. We're going to get to that. Nancy Pelosi's on TV telling all y'all, oh, we're this and this, this and this, distracting you. Saying it was an insurrection on the Capitol. This is where I get even really tough. This is where I get a little edgy. And I'm gonna hold my breath in because my buddy says to teach y'all instead of getting up here. In the Declaration of Independence, it specifically says, got my dad texting me. It specifically says, we, the people, have the right to alter or abolish any government that goes against what? Its foundation, and then do what? Reset it and set it back on its what? Original foundation. So if me and you and all you watching, if we wanted to get on freaking paint horses, get naked, get all the way down to little, like we're Native Americans again, paint ourselves up and ride up to that joker and ride right up in the Capitol building and burn that baby to the ground, we can do that. We can do that. There's no such thing as an insurrection to our country like that. It don't back the Constitution. That's one of those things that Marbury versus Madison talks about. If law doesn't back the Constitution, it is null and void. So when Nancy Pelosi and all these people say that we have an insurrection, and the Insurrection Act, my ladies and gentlemen, don't have anything to do with an insurrection. That's the other thing that they try to throw in your face. It ain't got nothing to do with that. Has nothing to do with that. Okay? President Trump's speech that day, very important. He specifically said that day, you can't find it because they deleted some of it. He specifically said, if you remember watching that day, I had a buddy that was there. He heard it for himself. He specifically said the next 2 weeks moving forward will be the most monumental and historical in your lifetime, your children's lifetime, your great-grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren. Okay? Ladies love this. I bring this up all the time. I say, ladies, what do 43 out of 45 presidents have in common? Okay? If this speech was just null and void itself, then, and if it was meant for Joe Biden to be president, then let me ask you, what do 43 out of 45 presidents have in common? And for sake of time, I know this video is going to be long. For sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and answer it. 43 out of 45 presidents, okay, one, Obama was black. JFK was young. 43 out of 45 presidents were old white men. So what in the hell would be so historic and monumental about inaugurating Joe Biden? No one ever thought of that. No one thinks of the most weird things that some veterans we sit and think of. Okay? The other thing that happened that day was another thing that military veterans know the most and people in the military. This is also what internet has tried to do and the liberals out there. They try to delete stuff, and they've been successful at this one. But military people know this very well. Okay? What also appeared on January the 6th, right behind Trump? Gold-fringed flags. Gold-fringed flags. And in every single shot since that day, I have it in my documents. I have him from 2020 back. But moving forward, January the 6th, every single day, and every single shot, and every single picture and video on the news, the gold-fringed flag is right here immediately behind every person. Everywhere. Okay? So, there's so many optics to it. Let's move forward. We're getting down. I'm not too far from the end here, but it's still a lot of information. Right in front of you, this is what happened. The only person who can activate the National Guard to federal duty is the President of the United States of America. And who was your president on January the 6th, 2021? And who was your president on January the 17th, 2021? Last I checked, the inauguration date is on January the 20th, 2021. Last I checked, it's been January the 20th since Franklin D. Roosevelt. Last I checked. Donald John Trump, via Executive Order 13919, activated the reserve components on January the 6th. And on January the 17th, you, the people, witnessed 35,000 plus National Guard members march into D.C., a foreign territory, a foreign country in military terminology and in military law and in U.S. law. They deployed because that's our terms in the military, okay? The only way that the National Guard can leave their state, the only way the National Guard can leave their state is by being federally activated by the President of the United States of America when it comes to national emergencies and federal emergencies, such as that. Okay? When it's stuff like Hurricane Katrina, all right, which everybody down south remembers, down here, the governor of Louisiana went to the general of Louisiana, and that general had to talk to other generals in states of which they needed. Okay, it's called a chain of command for a reason. And for all of you out there, especially you veterans who don't know that, and some of your wives, the little dependas, I remember seeing some dependas in some groups last year saying that that's not true, that the governors have power. If governors had power to activate the National Guard, do you know how jacked up our country would have been by now for sure? You know how many power trippers we would have had by now? What, just in everybody's lifetimes, however old you are, someone would have power tripped by now if the governor had that kind of power. So I don't want to hear that stuff. You know, that's just that is an insult to any veteran who knows anything about military law and military regulations. Okay? President Trump is the only person, the president is the only person who can activate National Guard to federal duty. Okay? He had declared 3 national emergencies. He also signed what they call a PED, which I said earlier, Presidential Emergency Active Document. The only reason I know he signed that because a PED, only the president and generals can know what's in a PED. The reason why I know he signed a PED is for the fact that everything forward when he activated the National Guard to federal duty, all 50 states, and the reserve components, he would have had to sign a PED in order to go with that process. Okay? So a Presidential Emergency Active Document, a PED is what they call them, okay? So he activated the guard right in front of you. That's where all of you should have gotten excited right there. Every American should have known that the only person who can do that, instead of looking at Nancy Pelosi and all these other people on TV that day who were filling you full of more false narratives and more false bullcrap, you should have known right then and there. And that's on you. That's not on me. That's on you, the American people. You're supposed to know law and regulations. Okay, that's not a secret. It's something that's secretive. Okay, you could have known that. You could have known what was going on right in front of you. Okay, and they said they were there for the Nancy Pelosi and all of them telling y'all, they're there for the inauguration. Yeah, right. Why did they stay to March the 3rd, 2021? When was the inauguration? And last I checked, most blue-collar Americans, or most I don't want to say blue-collar, most conservative people didn't want Obama as president. But did you see them go quit their jobs and go out, riot, and doing things like that? No, they went back to work the next day. They just moved right on forward and said, okay, well, he got voted in. Let's keep doing this. Who and what was going to go disrupt that? You got to think of that. Okay, so you watched all these narratives play out right in front of you and didn't realize National Guard to federal duty. Okay, that's 10 United States Code 12406. Okay. Also, it's in Title 10, Title 32, and Marine Law of 1834. A lot of Marines, I talked to a Marine the other day, didn't even know they had their own law. It's real short, it's about that long, but he didn't even know they had their own law. Marine Law of 1834, which specifically says they're the president's choice. If the president wants them, he's got them. They have to do everything he wants and everything he says. So that's a fact, okay? All right, the other thing that was an optic, June 24, 2018, the Military Times had an article that said that the Army was investing $500 million into training of the Army for tunnels and dark spaces, that we were going to be fighting a new war. It happens right in front of all of you. You got to read the right stuff. You got to read the things that matter. You got to read our foundation. You got to understand our foundation. You got to understand why we fight. You got to understand law and why we fight for the law. You got to understand what law backs the Constitution and what doesn't. You got to understand all these things. And anything that don't, you dump it. You brain dump it. It's like me with the military. If I had to go back in right now, I've done brain dumped a lot of stuff. I could still do a few things, but I've brain dumped a lot of it. I get around guys all the time, they're still talking some of this talk, and I'm like, yep, oh yeah, yeah, yep, yeah. And I'm like, done forgot it. I see one of my Army buddies just got on here. I'm like, he might have too. I don't know. But anyway, all right, here's the other fun thing. This right here is the most freaking awesome of it. This is the most exciting part of the video for me to tell you this, because a lot of people did not know this. And once again, when I die, when my dad dies, when my brother dies, when my nephew dies, and when my cousins die, when we die, and when my buddies here that are watching, and anybody else that I don't know on here, if you're a veteran, when they die, we will all have what they call a military service, a military funeral service. They will take a flag and they'll drape our casket with it, okay? And that flag has a symbolization. When they fold it, each fold has a symbol, okay? And it folds to 13, which were the what? The 13 original colonies of our nation, okay? They fold this flag and then they present it to our family member, our loved one. Right now, I'm a single guy, so if I died, it'd probably go to my mama. And they would say, sir, no, they say, ma'am, excuse me, mom. Say, ma'am, on behalf of a great nation, we thank your son for his service, or something like that. They say it sometimes different. And each branch has a different saying. But the Army, that's what they'll say. Thank you for his service. Boom, flag. That flag represents something bigger than what you think it does. So when you see it flying, there's a flag right up the road where I'm at my hunting camp right now in the middle of nowhere. And right up the road, there's a flag that kept falling. It kept being on the ground. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. And my friend took a picture of me climbing the pole. It didn't have a pole. It didn't have a rope. It was one of those that you have a stop to it, a pole. on a pole. I climbed up this pole, right? And I put that baby back in there, all right? The next day, it was down again, had some bad winds. Well, I just took it that time. I took it. I'm like, it's not going to fall down again. When I was going to go put it back in place, someone had already replaced it. So I got a free flag. Did not mean to take it, but that's how much the flag means to a veteran. And I'm going to tell you what, it's another thing my dad said about the flag. My dad alone said, there's one thing I'll bail you out of jail for. If you saw someone who was stomping or burning the flag and you beat their ass and you went to jail for it, I'll bail you out for that. So, well, that's great to know, because I will actually do that if I see that. So here's what you got to understand and also be able to love and appreciate via military. On January the 20th, 2021, when most Americans thought they saw Joe Biden being inaugurated, you actually witnessed something in reverse. Happened right in front of you. I'm just interpreting. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot me. I'm just interpreting law for you. I'm interpreting everything Donald Trump did right in front of you. I'm interpreting everything that happened in front of you via law, regulations, orders, U.S. law, and U.S. codes, but also symbols and optics. I'm just interpreting it for you. Here's what you actually witnessed. All right, I'm going to start with Donald Trump first, because Biden's is even more humorous and trollful. Okay? Joint Base Andrews, Donald John Trump, on January the 20th, 2021, not 2017. I had a lady the other day. You sure that much? January 20th, 2021, Donald John Trump received the full constitutional and military regulation inauguration ceremony. Joint Base Andrews, okay? This is how particular the military is. Hang with me. Donald Trump exited Marine One on a red carpet rollout, which signifies royalty, okay? High honor. As he exited Marine One, the official band on the fourth ruffle, okay? This is how specific military is. On the fourth ruffle, so it'd be like bump-a-bum, 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 bump-a-bum. On the fourth ruffle, in military regulation, Hail to the Chief is supposed to start playing. On the fourth ruffle, as Donald Trump exited Marine One on a red carpet rollout, Hail to the Chief started playing, and on the fourth ruffle, I said that wrong, on the fourth ruffle, the 21 gun salute is to start. So it's the bump a bum is already the Hail to the Chief coming. Bump a bum, bump a bum, bump a bum, bump a bum. So the Hail to the Chief starts playing. On the fourth ruffle though, boom, boom, the 21 gun salute starts. Okay? All that happened right in front of you. Donald Trump received the full military and constitutional regulation ceremony. Okay? He is the first president in United States history to leave D.C. on Air Force One, and also present on Joint Base Andrews that day were both Air Force Ones. There's two of them. Their numbers 28,000 and number 29,000. It's not secret. You can look that up. You can get on a flight app, okay, which is another optic for you. Both of those have been decommissioned, okay? So once a military aircraft or military vehicle is decommissioned, me or you could buy it if we got the money. So that's another topic for later, okay? So Donald Trump received the full grade constitutional and military regulation inauguration service. This is where it gets even funnier. I think it's the most trollful thing that if I was a general and I got to make this call, gosh, I would want everybody to know it, even though they didn't want most people knowing it from themselves. They want people like me to tell it to you. Okay? On January the 20th, the American people witnessed on national TV, get ready, this is exciting. A lot of you already know what I'm about to say. On January the 20th, 2021, everybody who watched CNN CNBC, MSNBC, CBS, NBC, ABC, and ESPN, of all people, reported this bullcrap. Everybody witnessed Joe Biden receiving a full-grade military regulation funeral service. And I'm going to show you how, because I know how. Let's start at the Capitol building, where he was supposedly speaking to the people, and you saw all the people filling up. It wasn't people. It was a mirror out there. There wasn't people out on the lawn. Those were flags flying. Those weren't people, okay? All of the military uniforms that were around Biden that day were non-regulation uniforms. Pershing's Army, Pershing's Own, or rather, the Marine Band. None of those were regulation military uniforms. Now, I smile, but then I take that a little bit more serious. People die in that uniform. That's why we call people out when we see insignia everywhere that's out of place, okay? Because it's stolen valor. Most of the times people are trying to steal valor, okay? If you're wearing some kind of insignia that you didn't earn and you didn't go through the military to get, it's stolen valor. And people like me get pissed off for it because we got people who died in that uniform. My mother had a cousin. He had just turned 18. He got killed in Vietnam, okay? He died in that uniform. That's why we don't wear uniforms out to bars and the parties and the this and the that. There's certain places that we can wear it that's in what? Regulation, okay? So the uniforms around Biden were all non-regulation uniforms. Specifically, I've got the article, CBS, their inauguration actual article, their main inauguration article has a soldier wearing an ACU pattern with a multi-cam Kevlar vest with a lot of equipment that's not even standard grade issue. I mean, on their site, on their actual site, which is an optic for people like me because Trump and the military are making them damn themselves. Everything you're watching from January 20th, 2017 to present day via left and liberals and all the fake news and everything, they're making them hang themselves right in front of you. Okay, that's why it was going to be a controlled optic. Instead of a military takeover, a visual military takeover, they're making them hang themselves in front of all the people who can't comprehend what I know and what I can teach you. For the ones who cannot and will not comprehend law, order, and regulations and symbols, then they're making these people hang themselves right in front of you. Okay, and to me, ultimately, even though sometimes I wish it was more visual, that's the best way to make someone damn themselves, is to make it happen to themselves. Make them look like fools to themselves and make them crash on their own, okay? So, you know, it's one of those things where sometimes, yes, I wish it was more visual, but the patriot in me knows how to sit back and be patient because I actually know what's going on. And I can help you and I can teach you and I'll be everything I can to anybody who wants to ask me, you know, and I got buddies that know this too. It's not just me. I'm not the only one that knows this stuff. I'm just someone who's finally going, okay, enough is enough. I don't know why Charlie Kirk and Telegram and Truth Social and some of these platforms aren't telling this stuff, because you need to know law first. You need to know regulation first. You need to know what happened. All this other stuff about going out and voting, that's just simple. That's just common sense. I mean, you have people like me who fought for your right to vote, okay? You should vote, and vote for who you feel you need to. But at the end of the day, all these people with these platforms who aren't helping you understand what happened by law and what happened visually, like I've shown you, executive orders, which are the highest law of the land, and then other acts, presidential acts, and acts of all kinds. It's just law, and you should want to know that. And I wish they would show you more of that, okay? Also that day, getting back to so let's get back. All right, Capitol building. All those uniforms, non-regulation uniforms, all right? Then visually, you saw him leave in a motorcade, all right? And they go down the street. All those police, state patrols, National Guard, no one saluted that vehicle as it passed by. I'm going to tell you one thing. I served under Obama. I didn't vote for Obama. I didn't like Obama's policies. I didn't like anything about Obama. I'll be honest with you. I'm just being honest here. I don't care if you did. I'm just telling you, I'm making a point here. I didn't support Obama. However, when I joined the military, he was commander-in-chief. I respected his office. And if he would have walked by me, or if his motorcade would have passed by me, boom, I would have saluted him. I watched 2 privates get their ass chewed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, because they weren't paying attention. They were walking on the sidewalk one day, and a little van came by, and it had a little flag. That flag ain't it is a little bitty. You can't see my other hand. But that little flag, it ain't big at all. And they put it right on the front of a van, and it was flying down Fort Sill. And here's 2 little privates walking. They talking to each other. They weren't paying attention to that vehicle passing by. That vehicle slammed on brakes. The back door opens up, and a sergeant major gets out and runs up to them just like a drill sergeant, got right in their face, and it was a lot of expletives and a lot of words that I can't say on here about you ain't paying attention to detail, because there is a colonel, a full bird colonel, sitting right here in this vehicle, and you didn't salute it. You weren't paying attention to detail. Always being on guard, always being aware of your surroundings. Boom, got chewed out, okay? There's one thing that a veteran will tell you. When you're in uniform, you will respect all officers, because your oath says, I will what? Obey the orders of the president and officers appointed over me. You will salute all officers. I'll tell you another smart-ass thing we did one day. Me and my buddies, about 5 of us, we were walking across base one day. Me and my buddies now. So we did something that was funny. Single file line. All right, we filed into a single file line. All right, we spaced about 5 feet from each other. Here come an officer. Did this on purpose. Well, we did that where he had to salute all 5 of us. But see, he was thinking on his feet that day. He pops his salute on me. Well, I can't move my arm down until he what? He renders his down. And yeah, so when I went to salute, he didn't put his down. He said, you know I could keep you here all day, right? You know I can keep you standing here all day with your arm right there at salute. He was thinking on his feet. My buddy's back there going, uh-oh, we're in trouble. But he was like, but I appreciate it. I think it's humorous. Good day. So, you know, there's a reason we salute officers, okay? None of the National Guard, a lot of them have their backs turned as the motorcade came. No. Huge no. That should have told every American right there, this guy ain't president. That would not happen. That's military law and military regulation. That should have told you right there, amongst all other things that I've already showed you. Move forward. This is where it gets really fun and really good. The cameras that day, CBS and CNN and CNBC, all these others, they tricked you. They tricked you, the people. Okay, but you had to been paying attention. If you can't see, then you got to revert to ears. Turn the TV up loud. And they did it. They kept flipping the camera around. Okay, but there were 3 artillery pieces there. In the military, a military funeral service for any kind of dignitary especially. Because when people like me die, they just bring out rifles and do a salute. Okay? But when any kind of dignitary or any kind of general or any kind of big guy in the military, it's called a 3-volley salute. It's 3 artillery pieces. 2 for firing and 1 for misfire. Okay? If one of those were to misfire, then they got that guy there. Boom. It'll shoot. Okay? 3-volley salute. Okay? That's what it's called. I got that in the documents, but you can look it up. 3-volley salute. All right? The camera kept swapping back and forth where you couldn't see them and count off each round. So then you had to revert to hearing. Well, then they muted the TV really low. They went across the water, and it was really low. But I counted them for you. 13 rounds. All right? When you go to the chart and you look up 21 gun salute, 19 guns, 17 guns, 15 guns, 13. It ain't guns, it's fires. So rounds fired. 21 gun salutes what it's called. And then you have a 19 round fire. You have a 17 round fire. You have a 15 round fire, a 13 round fire, and 11 round fire. They're not salutes. 21 gun salutes only gun salute. It's the only salute for fires. Okay? 13 rounds fired. Well, when you look under there, 13 rounds says this: Rear Admiral, Major General, or Minister Resident. Well, we know that Joe Biden was not in the military, so he can't be a rear admiral and he can't be a major general. Okay, so that leaves minister resident. Also on the chart, though, which would have eliminated those in the first place, had he even been one of those, it would eliminate it with this. What song was played for him? Major general and a rear admiral gets played honors march 2, 3, or 4. The only song played for a minister resident is honors march 1. Well, guess what was the only song that was played for Joe Biden all day? Not Hail to the Chief. It was honors march 1. Most of you watching right now have never heard the term minister resident in your life. And that's okay. I'm not picking on you. I've already got the definition for you. Don't worry. It's all in the documents. It's all right here. A minister resident is someone who takes temporary residence of a foreign territory. And what did we discuss earlier that the District of Columbia is? By military law and U.S. law, it is a foreign territory. Joe Biden is a minister resident of the District of Columbia, which is a temporary resident. By law and by military law and by military regulations and by military symbols. Happened right in front of you. All of that. Yeah, go watch it. I got the links. If you don't believe me, go watch. Go count them off. Go look. Go count the 3. Go and then Google 3 gun volley salute, 3 volley salute. Then go look at the 13 rounds, minister resident. Then Google minister resident. Hey, I'm just telling you what happened right in front of you. I'm just telling you how Donald Trump is your president by law and by military law and by military regulations and by the Constitution. Because also what Joe Biden did that day, even though it ain't really Joe, anybody who can't see that Joe ain't Joe by the pictures I have, you need to see an ophthalmologist tomorrow, okay? But the other thing that's the major implication, all those are major, but here it is. Joe Biden swore in at 11:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to whitehouse.gov right now. Click on whitehouse.gov right now, and you can pull up the speech from that day. And it specifically shows you the last thing ever said was 11:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when Joe Biden took the oath. You know what that means? That means he violated the 20th Amendment of the Constitution of America. The Constitution, 20th Amendment, specifically says that the president's term is to end and begin at noon. Very specific. Okay? And for all the smart alecks out there who say, well, why did Trump leave D.C.? He just left like anybody else can do. He didn't leave office. He just left the city. And he wasn't even in the city. He was at Joint Base Andrews. Okay? So he just simply got on Air Force One and continued his presidency. Okay? So we're going to get into why is Biden a puppet now. That's what we're moving to now. Why are you witnessing what you're witnessing? I had the question today, or I had it last night. Well, why are our taxes so high? Why is inflation high? Why are food prices increasing? Why are gas prices so high? Why is everything outrageous? Well, it's because most of you wouldn't listen to people like me for years. Okay? I'm not the first one that's known this. I'm not the only one that knows this. I'm not the first one who's tried to tell everybody military law and military regulations and why we have this country. Okay? So if you would look at Donald Trump's executive orders, you would understand why the costs are getting high. It's because of people out there, maybe not you, and maybe not you that's watching, but maybe someone that watches this video that is hardcore socialist or hardcore fascism or hardcore communist, which there's 206 other countries out there. Why stay in the one that won't do it for you when you got 206 other options to get your ass out of here and go live the life you want to live? I mean, it's pretty simple. Hell, I'll buy you a one-way ticket out of here. I live on a basic budget. I live on a simple retiree budget from the military, but hey, you know what? I've got a music career that's pretty decent, and I'll pay your plane ticket to get out of here. And I'll drive you to the airport. I'll even wish you well and hug you and say, hey, you know what? We don't agree with my country and the way it was founded, but I wish you well in the 200 other 6 or the one that you chose to go to. I wish you well. Get out. Leave. It ain't one of those bad get outs. I'm not one of those patriots that's like, get the, you know what, out. No, I'm not. I'm just saying you have many, many more options. Like with me, I don't have that option. If I want patriotism in a free country somewhere else, I'm stuck here. I got to make it work here. I can't leave here and go somewhere else because it ain't like that. No, it ain't. They ain't going to welcome you with welcome arms like that. So you got plenty of other options. So I can't make you completely understand why they're doing this if you can't understand law first and regulations and military and optics and why it had to come to this and why they had to scare some people and to make you wake up. It had to hit every single person, budget-wise, thought-wise, and heart-wise. It had to make you whatever you're scared of and whatever is plaguing you right now, if it's your budget, if it's your bank account, whatever it is, they had to wake you up. Because 75% of Americans, remember, can't name the three branches of government. So I know you definitely don't know what your local representative does for you. I know you don't know the local representative who are writing these bills up and going to your capital and going to your state capital and going to a session, what they call, and representing you, the people. Because most of you don't even know who to call, when to call, and how to call or how to email anybody when they represent you. When you, the people, think about this. When you let yourself think that 435 members of Congress control 335 million people, okay? No, it ain't control. You control them. It's the other way around. So that's what's happened for many, many years. I mean, think about this. James Stewart, one of the most top actors in the world, played in a movie called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington in 1938. And it was about a guy who believes like I do, who believes in honor, loyalty, integrity of why we have law and why we have a system. 1938. And that movie depicts all those people in Congress telling him, oh, man, you can't take every bill serious, man. You can't do this, man. We put them all in a lump sum. We pass them all at once. You got to give and take. That's what's happened to you, the people. That's why we have all these bills, we have all these laws, and you have all these things. It's just a pile of mess, okay? So you got to understand taxes, inflation, those kind of things are on you, the people. You have to understand why we pay taxes. You have to understand why. So why food's going up? Well, why food is going up is because of Donald Trump's executive order. That's not a bad thing. But you were supposed to know when he said, bring your companies back to America, bring it back here. We got enough farmers here. We have enough resources here. You don't need to be over there. So as the warehouses start depleting, see, that's how spoiled of a nation we are. We have so many warehouses that have been full for so long that it's been running pretty good. But they're starting to deplete. Some of them are being destroyed, okay? As they start to deplete, and those ships aren't moving from the bay, and the things that are on those ships ain't moving because of Executive Order 13848, which no foreign good will enter the United States of America, then that is why food prices are going up. And you have to understand that. It ain't Donald Trump's fault. You have to understand this is we're going through a valley right now. And you're going to have to sacrifice a little while. We're going to have to get through that valley, sacrifice, then we'll come out of it. Okay? So, President Trump said, we have it all, we've caught them all crimes and evidence of crimes will be displayed to the public in full accordance to the law. It had to be controlled, okay? Because you, the public, would never understand all the stuff. You wouldn't even understand that 9/11 was rigged. Oh, did I just go there? Yes, I did. 9/11 was rigged. None of you were paying attention on September the 10th, 2001, when Donald Rumsfeld got on TV and said that how many trillions of dollars was missing from the Pentagon? Oh, did I go there? Yes, I did. President Bush Jr., I'm going to tell you an optic in a minute of why President Bush Sr. was a corruption too. All these guys were not who you think they were, okay? And I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories. I don't believe in those. First off, I can tell you by law what's going on. I can tell you. September the 10th, 2001, Donald Rumsfeld got on TV and he specifically said X amount of trillions of dollars are missing from the Pentagon. And you, the people, want to believe that a plane hits 90 stories up and the bottom we're talking about metal, and we're talking about steel. Anybody who's a welder, anybody who knows laws of gravity and physics and all kinds of other things can tell you right now that a plane hitting 90 stories up ain't going to demolition style building fall straight down like it did. And you can watch it implode as it goes down. Now the smoke distracts you because a lot of you are focused on distraction. You're not looking at little details. It implodes all the way down, straight down. No. All laws of science defies that. Okay? Even your common sense. But especially when you go back and you listen to Donald Rumsfeld tell you the day before, create a problem we already have a solution to. Imagine that. Imagine if you would just think outside the box a little bit. Yes, I'm sick that Americans died that day. I'm sick about it. I'm actually pissed about it. Makes me want to do some things you're not supposed to do. Like an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Okay? So, you got to get sick in your stomach too. And you're going to have to get sick to your stomach. You're going to have to realize, though, who's for you and who's against you, though. You got to know who's for you. I can guarantee you right now, every veteran, even if they don't know law and regulation, at least they're for you. They're for you. Okay? We're always for you. We'll laugh with you, cry with you, tell a bad joke with you. Preachers need people like me on the pew Sunday. All right? Because I'm the guy that's always for you. Okay? I can talk to you about anything. I can hear it right here, and it'll be cupped right here. It won't go anywhere else. I'm for you, all right? I'll be there for you. But when it comes to law and regulations, all right, if you're against that and you go against that, I'll love you as much as I can. But when it comes to that, it's the very premises of why we have this nation. We're a nation of law and order, okay? We have a foundation. We have laws, principles, regulations, orders, symbols, everything. It's real simple. Okay, so why did they put Biden in as a puppet? Okay, you got to know who Joe Biden really is. A lot of you don't follow enough and you don't really understand. Joe Biden dropped the N-word a few times. He also was against black people for a long time. He also was a lead prosecutor. He was one of the lead guys, not a prosecutor by trade, but he was one of the lead guys on the Clarence Thomas trial way back in the early 90s. Okay, he's the one that put that guy's life through humiliation. Okay, the Joe Biden you think you know ain't Joe Biden you really know. Okay, Joe Biden has been corrupt. Joe Biden has had his hands in Ukraine for a long time. I'm going to bring that up. We're narrowing it down. But Joe Biden, like I said earlier, where I got a lot of thumbs up on that, but every person has to damn themselves. They're making them walk the plank themselves versus going in military takeover and catching everybody. They're making everybody display their crimes to the public in full accordance to the law. So Joe Biden, by law, had to visually show you, the people, his crimes by, I'm going to read them off because I know them typically, but 18 U.S. Code 2384, 18 U.S. Code 2381, 18 U.S. Code 115, 18 U.S. Code 2385, 3 U.S. Code 15, and 52 U.S. Code 2511. He had to violate every one of those, which he did. You know what they call that in chess? Checkmate. Already done it. Or maybe that's chess. Oh, it's chess or checkers. Whichever one is checkmate. Checkmate. I want to do that. I wish I could talk real Australian or British. Checkmate. Checkmate. Already happened. He's already violated every single one of those. Treason, fraud, and crimes against humanity. Not just last year and not visually what you're seeing right now, which is a puppet. All throughout his career, he has violated all those codes. Those are U.S. Constitution codes. Those are United States codes. He's violated all of them. Okay. He's also what they call so here's the optics. Here's what you're seeing by law and optics. I'm going to combine them. He's also what they call a Commonwealth Act 671. This is why President Trump has mentioned Pearl Harbor many times. This is why he's optically told you to think back to a time period of which you last saw this kind of law. Okay? He's mentioned he had a speech, President Trump said this, that we witnessed something in our country, not out of our country, in our country, worse than Pearl Harbor. Okay? He specifically said that. Well, a lot of people took that out of, he shouldn't shame those people who died at Pearl Harbor. He wasn't. See, those are the people who follow drama, who don't know what's going on. Okay? Those were optics. Okay? Because I'm going to show you why, and with the U.S. codes and also with law, what all those mean. So Commonwealth Act 671. In U.S. law, President Franklin D. Roosevelt and law made a president that wasn't president in the Philippines. They put a puppet up in front of the people, in front of the world, while the real president was what they call in exile. And he had full control of his military and full control of the protection of his people, which came through who? The U.S. too. Okay? And it's called the Commonwealth Act 671. It is in U.S. law, but it's also one of those laws that they've tried to hide when you go to Google search. You can't find much on it. I got all the links for you. Don't worry. I got them. So don't worry about that. You're not going to find it like that. I got them for you, though. All right? Also, you witnessed Biden extend Executive Order 13848, September. So a week before it was supposed to expire, the major executive order that I went over that Trump signed September the 12th, 2018, why would Joe Biden sign an executive order that's going to damn his administration? Why would he sign an executive order that talks about national emergency? The whole reason a national emergency was issued was because of voter fraud, okay? It was also because of all the things going on in China and in Ukraine, which you're going to find out that Putin is actually a good guy. Even some veterans on here are going to find out that Putin is actually part of this major covert operation. A lot of people are so blinded right now, and it's all by law. I would say Biden extended that. The other thing is that Biden, January the 26th, 2021, all right, guess who Biden swore in? The commander of the Pacific Theater. Okay? January 26, 2021. Y'all thought he was inaugurated on January 20, 2021. 6 days later, he names the 4-star general blood brother of Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn was the whistleblower on the Obama administration. Who was Obama's vice president again for 8 years? And that guy became president, and now he's naming the commander of the 4-star brother of the guy he smeared his whole life to the commander of the Pacific Theater. Do you know where the Pacific Theater is? China, Australia, Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia. All the hot topics right now. So what you're going to find out soon, right before the election, they're going to amp it up even more that China's invading Taiwan. I said it right here. You're going to hear it first right here. They're going to amp this up. That would be like Canada and the United States saying they're going to invade Delaware. Okay, China is massively bigger than Taiwan. It's a joke what they're going to do with that story. So wait for that to hit your mainstream news, which is all optics. But for the people out there that still don't believe that it is, wait for it. I called it. Wait for it. Okay? So all those things right there, Biden is a puppet. Okay? If you understand law and regulations, then you would believe law and regulations. And then you would see all these things that he would not have done. He just wouldn't have done. And he can't do. And here's the best one of all of them. During his campaign, which was optics, he was already the actor. They had already plugged the puppet in. When you go look at the pictures, he was already the puppet. So this is all an optic. But for you that don't believe it and for you that didn't know it, he campaigned that he was going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. I'm shutting down Gitmo. It's inhumane, blah, 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 blah. All right? I'm shutting down Gitmo. Trump had an executive order that supported Gitmo and was going to keep it running. Okay, so all the law that Trump's did that show he's still president, that means that executive order is still active. Okay, Biden saying he's going to shut down Gitmo. He had a speech in February 2021. He had a speech in September 2021 that he's going to shut down Gitmo. I'm going to shut down Gitmo. All right. He's got the same, if he was really president, he got the same power as Trump had, same power as Clinton, same power as Obama. He got the same powers. Okay? Same powers. He campaigned on that. I'm shutting down Gitmo. That was one of his main campaigns. Okay? New York Times, December 29th, the New York Times, this past December, just after Christmas, this past Christmas, the New York Times said in an article, in present tense and in future tense, the President Trump and the Pentagon are expanding Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, by $500 million and more courtrooms and enough room to hold tens of thousands more criminals. I thought Biden was president. And this New York Times is telling me that President Trump and the Pentagon are expanding. It didn't say expanded. It said expanding. Now, if that was a liberal writing that, and they wrote that, and that one word slipped out, you know what their director would say to them? They'd be gone quick. It'd be like them movies you see all the time. Them girls get fired like yak. They'd be gone. Expanding. That's why you got to pay attention to key words. Okay? The other thing that shows you Biden ain't president, the other thing he specifically said to you, the people, they made the puppet get out. Everything, you got to watch and listen. He specifically said he did not want to sign the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act. He said, I'm not signing it. I'm not going to sign that. Not going to sign it. Because why? It would shut down Gitmo. I'm not signing this act that would shut down Gitmo. Why in the hell did he sign the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act? Why would he sign an act that he said he wasn't going to sign that would shut down Gitmo? He can't shut down Gitmo. But he could. He could have. If he was president, he has full authority and power as president, the executive branch, to shut down Gitmo. So why is he signing an act that he didn't want to sign? Oh, yeah, you're going to have someone come on here and say, oh, well, that's because Obama's really running the show. And that right there alone also shows you don't know military law and military regulations and executive orders, federal law, U.S. codes. No, it's not. It's an optic. And you got to pick up on that. You, the people, are going to have to wake up on that. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to. And here's another thing. I'm narrowing down. I'm not far to go now. We're getting down. I know it's a long video, but I'm telling all. Everything is in this video. The other thing that just happened recently was an optic. The raid on Mar-a-Lago. The FBI raided Mar-a-Lago. Well, if you were paying attention, and if you'd have known me 2 years ago, in my documents from 2 years ago, in my documents, I talk about the FBI and how they are scandalous. President Trump told you. Remember the media made a big deal out of it? Oh, he says people in the FBI are corrupt. He didn't say, he said, no, I said a few, it ain't all people, but a lot of them are. He specifically said that. Everything he said has come to fruition. Okay? He said it. I didn't. He said it. Everything he said has come to fruition. Okay? It was an optic. That didn't happen down at Mar-a-Lago. Okay? They have everything. They have everything. Sean, I'm sorry, but I'm going to call you out on this. That's not true. You don't know law and you don't know military law. So, no. Don't come on here in the comment box and saying that. They're not running anything. It's an optic. By law, you need to go back and watch the video. I'm sorry. But I'm going to delete your comments when we get done with this. Sorry to interrupt people. But don't come on here saying stuff like that when I'm sitting here telling you law, military regulations, and military orders. This guy right here died serving under the same laws. So don't come on here saying that bullcrap. I'm sorry, people. Sorry to have to interrupt my thing for saying that. Okay. Executive privilege. I sent my mother a text yesterday, and I sent my buddies. I said, here's you something. Find the key words in it, okay? Here's the key words. I've got them so intact with law now and so intact with everything that they picked up like that right on it. They saw the words. So Trump put out a speech, okay? It's optics for people like me. For you, you thought that FBI actually raided his place. They did. They didn't. They did not do such a thing. They did optically, but they didn't realistically, okay? Because President Trump and the military already have everything. That's what you got to get on page with. Like the guy down here in the comment box. You got to get on page with the military already knows everything, okay? They already know. That's why all these laws were written. Donald Trump didn't write all those by himself. I can assure you that. So all of you out there that were still on board, or well, not completely on board with Donald Trump, no, that's not true, okay? Donald Trump played a very powerful role in this, but the military wrote most of these orders. The military wrote most of these acts. The military generals, they're very, very, very brilliant people. Very brilliant people. So, over here, executive privilege. Executive privilege is what you got to key in and hone in on. Okay, executive privilege. On the tweet that Trump put out on his little Truth Social, in that whole massive paragraph, executive privilege is key. This is why you got to know law. And you got to ignore people telling people like me to chill out. Because I'm going to tell you what, I will block you as soon as I can get to you. I'm going to block you. So you don't tell me to chill out, okay? That's what the other thing you don't do. All right, Pelosi and everything that you see are all optics. Military law, military regulation, Constitution, and federal law. If you don't abide by those, if you don't believe in those, then you need to leave this country, okay? Not only do you need to leave this post, but you need to leave this country, okay? Everything I'm telling you is law. It's not opinion. And your little, whatever small-minded you want to stay in, then stay in it. But stay off of this post, okay? I didn't go live for you to come on here and to ruin this for people, okay? Freedom of speech, great. Go take your speech somewhere else. Executive privilege. By law, by federal freaking law, for people like this douchebag, federal law says this right here. Executive privilege. The only person who can exert executive privilege is a sitting current president. That is law. And Congress has to do that for them. Okay? Not a past president, not a former president. A current sitting president is the only person who can use executive privilege. Why is it called executive privilege? Executive. You have to be an executive. If Donald Trump didn't win the election, if y'all think that Biden is actually president and Trump is a civilian right now, then why and how did the media that you think is telling y'all the truth tell me the people and tell you the people that Donald Trump exerted executive privilege in November 2021? He didn't exert it before January the 6th. Exerting executive privilege for January 6th would have meant he would have had to done that before January the 6th, which he would have had to known before January the 6th what was going to happen if he did that. Okay, and he would have had that Congress have to do it. No, it's the media telling you that he exerted executive privilege November 2021. Okay, so how did Donald Trump exert executive privilege, which he would have needed Congress to do, and only a current sitting president can exert executive privilege? So what's the media trying to say? That Donald Trump is still president? That's what it has to mean. And if you didn't know what I just told you, and if you want to be a guy like this coming on here, not listening to law, what's actually been put right in front of you, it's all visually happened right in front of you, the National Guard visually activated and still operating as we speak. I'm looking at a flight app right now with National Guard up, all out of their states, all out of the country, visually activated since January 2021, and douches like that want to come on here and say bull crap like that Pelosi and Schumer. Bull freaking shit. Okay? Sorry preachers and sorry family that you have to witness me talking like this for people like that. But that's the principle of why I'm on this video. It's because of things like that, trying to get you out of your little hard heads. I just spilled all through this video. I'm probably well over 2 hours long now, drowning my battery, hoping it don't die, for you to hear law and order of what Charlie Kirk and all these people with these platforms aren't telling you and ain't told you and won't tell you when it wasn't a secret. It wasn't even a secret. It happened right in front of you. And you, the American people, have to wake the you-know-what up and learn the very foundation of our nation first, and then you need to learn law and order. That's what we're a nation of. Like I used earlier. If you don't believe in it, then go get your happy ass a speeding ticket and go in there and tell the judge that that sign is a suggestion. And tell me what he says. Please tell me what he says, because your ass ain't taking me to dinner after that, because your ass is going to be broke for paying that ticket and maybe even getting some kind of other little slap by the gavel by the judge for disrespecting his honor. I wish they'd do that like they do in the military. I wish they'd slap a freaking extra duty on your ass like they do in the military. Boy, if military law was applied to you civilians, your asses would straighten up like that. Let me tell you, like I said in my video yesterday, I'm deviating from this because of people like that, but I'm deviating. I'm going to get back on order here. But if the military law is applied to you civilians, males especially, all you males out there that take your women for granted and you cheat and you go cheat on your wives, oh, we have more single mothers right now. Let me get on that topic for a minute. If military law was applied to you, your asses would straighten up quick. You know why? Because in the military, whenever you cheat on your spouse, any spouse, whether you're gay or not, they represent everybody in the military. And when you cheat, they court-martial your ass. And you go to court, and you know what they do? They give you extra duty. They strip you of your rank. They put adultery on your record for about 7 years. And when you're out riding around and an MP pulls you over and you weren't off duty and you got a wife at home and kids at home and your ass is riding around, they can assume whatever they want to assume. They can take your ass in. They can report you back to your commander, and then guess what you're going to get? What you already got. An Article 15. You're going to get you another one of those. Okay, and they're probably going to boot your ass out of the military, to strip you of all your rank, then strip you of all your benefits, and you lose everything in which you joined. How would you think that would fly over, ladies, if we applied that to civilian life? Imagine if military life, just that one principle alone, was applied to civilian sector. Boy, you would be, woo! Boy, you talking about some dudes straightening up quick. Just that one little thing alone would straighten people out. Honor, loyalty, law, respect, duty, paying attention to detail. Okay? So executive privilege. I'm going to get back on my topic here. Executive privilege. The only person who can exert executive privilege is a current sitting president. The media is telling you that President Trump exerted executive privilege in November 2021 for January the 6th. The only person who can exert executive privilege is someone who is a president who is in office. Imagine that. They're telling you Donald Trump is president. And you just gotta get outside your box. You gotta get outside and go, man, you gotta get outside and realize that what you're watching, you got to get up to the 40,000 foot view, okay? Anybody that flies with me thinks that, oh man, you should be a tough guy. But when I get up flying and that thing starts bouncing in that turbulence, I do look at the ground. I'm looking down. I'm like, oh man, how hard are we going to hit? No, when you hit that, you're disintegrated, like my buddies say. But, you got to get on the 40,000 foot view and look down. You got to look at all this. You can't just look at one little thing and go to what your little brain says, And I don't mean little brain in a bad way to everybody. I'm just saying you got to think bigger than little. You got to be able to look at the bigger picture, the bigger view. And if you can't take law and orders, then you're never going to understand it. Okay? Then I've lost you. You're never going to understand it. You're just never going to get it. Okay? So, Afghanistan pullout. All right, just today, an article said that Biden issued an airstrike in Syria. All right, well, the Afghanistan pullout, and then also some other things, he specifically said that ISIS didn't exist anymore, and that ISIS wasn't relevant. Well, why did the media says he issued an airstrike. Well, what's just funny to me is that the actual commander that said the president issued an airstrike, he didn't say President Biden. He said the president issued an airstrike. So there's an optic for you, okay? And the media said we've been in Syria since 2015. We've been in Syria since about 2012 or 13. And you, the people, didn't know that. And Obama wrote about 4 or 5 executive orders protecting Syria, the Arabian Republic. Okay? If you know anything about Arabians, okay, if you know anything about Arab, especially my preacher friend that watches this, if you know anything about Arab, they're not for Christians. Okay? They're against Israel. Okay? And the war, the 6-day war of Israel, June the 5th through June the 10th, 1967, the 6-day war. Guess what? Israel regained statehood and they took over 1 million Arabs. 1 million Arabs had to denounce Muslimhood and become Israeli. Obama's writing executive orders that protect Syria. And we were in Syria long before you ever knew about it. That's all I can say about that because most of that's still classified. Okay? But I can tell you we were in there long before 2015. Okay? So, optics. You got to know this stuff, and you got to understand that. Or if you don't know it, and it's something like that, where a veteran knows that, and no one else does, but we can tell you and hint around the bush, you got to understand that and take that. Why would I make that up? We're talking about people's lives. We're talking about people who die in service, okay? So we don't just sit around. No one wants to talk about this. I see another lady watching right now whose husband was a Marine, okay? She just lost him not long ago, okay? We don't just talk about this stuff, okay? When people want to ask Marines or ask soldiers about war and did you shoot somebody and all this other bull crap, war was supposed to never be glorified, okay? It was never supposed to be glorified, all right? It's stuff that stays with people's minds for a long time. Some people can cope with it, some people can't. Okay, that's why we have 22 veterans a day committing suicide. We got to get control of that. Veterans, there's a disconnect between veterans and civilians, and we got to bridge that gap. But you, the people, you, the Americans, have to understand, military came first in this country. Military law came first in this country. And if anybody's for you, it's the veteran. I can tell you that. Whether they know law or not, it's still the veteran. So, Afghanistan pullout. Where are the pictures at? Where are the refugees? Where were the videos? Nobody saw any pictures. Nobody saw any videos. Where? There was one video used and one picture, and the media still uses the same pictures to this day. Where were the refugees? We didn't see any refugees during Desert Storm when I was a kid. You saw refugees, man. You saw pictures of them. They were so glad. They were so glad to be here. They were so glad. You didn't see any of that. Optics, first off. Teaching you optics right now. All right. Now, we're going to get off. We're going to come back to optics in a minute. Well, let me get on Ukraine. I'm going to get on Ukraine. All right. I got another veteran just popped on here. So, they come on, preach it, cuz he's a veteran too. So, I'm telling you right now, I'm not the only veteran that knows what's going on right now. If you know military law like he does, if you know military regulation like he does, if you know military symbols like he does, I'm telling you right now, we know. And we're here to help you. We're here for you. Okay? We will get a little harsh like I had to do a while ago. We will. But that don't mean I won't still welcome you in here and sit you down and talk to you. But you got to step outside of your comfort zone. You got to get outside of what you thought you knew all these years. You got to get outside of the opinions. You got to get outside of that. And let's sit down and just talk. We're just talking law here. We're talking law and regulations and orders. That's it. No opinions and none of that. Law, orders, and regulations. Real simple. That's all we live by in the military. Like I just told you. You walk a fine line in the military. If you don't, you're out. Okay? So, Ukraine. Here's where Ukraine is. Okay? This is what you got to understand. What y'all didn't realize about Ukraine. This is why you can't just post a picture up about Ukraine. When 50% of America can't take a blank map and put their state in it, you don't need to be talking about Ukraine. I can assure you that right now. All right, there's a lot to do with Ukraine. I'm going to try to run through it real quick. I'm narrowing down. I'm getting down. But Ukraine. Ukraine has not filed for border registration since 1992. Do you want to know how old I was in 1992? I can make some of y'all feel old. Okay? All right. Border registration. Ukraine has not filed for border registration since 1992. They also signed a treaty with Russia, all right, that they got out of in 2018. Completely got out of it. Didn't re-sign a treaty, okay? They didn't re-sign the treaty. So not re-signing the treaty and also leaving, and when I say leave it, so leaving the treaty and also not registering for a border since 1992. You know what that means? You have to understand what the USSR was. A lot of you are old enough to remember the USSR, okay? But the USSR, so that means that by law, and especially to Russia and their law, the Ukraine is still legally a part of Russia. It is Russia. And matter of fact, over 75% of their citizens speak Russian. Okay? So you got to understand that first. The Ukraine is still a part of Russia, legally. The land is part of Russia. All right? The other thing you got to understand about Putin and Trump. I have the picture. Thank God I saved this picture. November the 9th, 2016, I took a picture of Fox News that night when they declared Trump president. They had a picture of Trump and Putin side by side. I got the picture in the documents. I got it on my phone. I'll be glad to send it to you. But you can find it in the documents if you'll just sign up for those. Trump and Putin side by side. And the caption on the bottom was Putin's quote. And it said, "Ready to work with Trump for the Great Reset." And a lot of veterans, I just saw an article. No, it wasn't an article. It was on news. I'm going to call out Fox 10 in Mobile, Alabama. Fox 10 had a article up, or had a segment up, of two veterans. They're alive. Two veterans that take their butts to Ukraine, and they're stuck over there. They're stuck. And they want us to go get them. They want us to go pay to go get them. When if these veterans would have known what law is, and military law especially, and military regulations, and military symbols, and military optics, then those veterans would realize that, oh, Putin sided with Trump. The other thing you realize is that John Kerry, Nancy Pelosi, Mitt Romney, and Joe Biden all have children who work for Ukraine oil companies and companies. Imagine that. Imagine if you knew that, right? Okay, in 2014, as vice president, Biden made 7 trips in 7 months to Ukraine. 7 trips in 7 months. Also in 2014, the Ukraine didn't have a presidential election. They were put in to power. The president was put in by whom? Why does Obama have executive orders on Ukraine? Would someone care to riddle me that? Who was his vice president again for 8 years? Who knew what was going on in Ukraine? And it dates all the way back to about 2001. Every president has had their hands in the cookie jar of Ukraine. So go figure, okay? So that's why you have to understand, and you have to know people who understand this and know this stuff. Okay, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's law. That's also what you visually saw. You visually saw it. It's in Obama's executive orders. It's also came out of your taxpayer money for their asses to fly over there on our aircraft, our military aircraft, fly them over there. Okay? That's on you, the people. You're supposed to know that. All right? You should have been following along. Also this year, breaking it down, Victoria Nuland. Victoria Nuland is what they call an undersecretary. She's an undersecretary for who? The person you think is president, Biden. Undersecretary Victoria Nuland. Well, who does she work for? She also worked for Obama. Imagine that. Imagine that. So, Undersecretary on March the 8th, 2022, under oath, told Congress that there are, in fact, biochemical labs in Ukraine. When all of last year, the media told you, CNN, CBS, all of them told you that there was no such thing as a biochemical lab in Ukraine. All right? If you were following and paying attention, they said that. Then Biden's, I call him Biden because he ain't real and he ain't president. So Biden, his undersecretary, gets under oath with Congress and tells you, the people, it's out there, it's all over the news, that there are in fact biochemical labs in Ukraine. Oh, but they're not for weapons. That is what Russia is doing in Ukraine. That's what they're doing. They're bombing those biochemical labs. It's all been on the news. It's everywhere. I've got all the pictures. I've got all the cities that they were in. And every city that they were in was a biochemical lab. Okay, that's what you got to follow. That's where you've been missing out. And you, the veterans out there that thought you got your little Ukraine flag up and all that bullshit you got up, you are what's wrong with America. Okay, I'm going to call you out, veteran. Mr. Oh, thank you for your service. Thank you for flying to Ukraine for the Ukrainian people. It was all an optic, okay? And you were sleepy because you probably didn't serve for the right reasons in the first place, okay? Because you're not paying attention. If you were paying attention to law and regulations, you would have known what's going on because it's all in the law books. And it's all actually out on the news too. March the 8th, 2022. The same day, here comes another optic for you. Same day, Mitt Romney says that there aren't biochemical labs in Ukraine when Biden's undersecretary is under oath in Congress saying there are. Imagine that. I mean, get out of here. It's beyond stupid. It really is. You know, that's the stuff, that's the politics that's stupid. And that's the stuff, though, they're trying to do to wake you up. To go, this lady's under oath telling us that there are biochemical labs over there. Okay? Oh, God. Okay. Off of Ukraine. I can tell you, I've got everything in my documents. I'm just touching on everything I can. Let's get on some optics here. I'm going to teach you what optics are. Optics are things like when you can step outside of what you thought you knew, and you step outside of your opinions and step outside of your life. I don't care what you believe. Gay, if you believe in that, if you don't. Gay marriage, if you believe in that, you don't. Whatever. Those are things we can handle socially. Those are things we have to handle and be adults about and talk about, communicate, come together and talk it out. Okay? Those are things. But when it comes to laws and regulations, those are still things we talk about, absolutely, for sure. But we got to go back and reset the foundation first, get that straight, and then we can get everything else in order, okay? I won't say straight because there would be some pun intended there. We're not going to do that. I've got some gay friends. So we're going to go back, get things straight with our foundation, and we're going to get things in order where we can talk about those things down the road. But here's an optic. Okay, a couple weeks ago, the media showed you Joe Biden going to Kentucky for the floods. God bless those people. I hate that they have to use things like this for that. God bless those people and for what they have to go through, losing their homes and losing their clothes and losing things like that. God bless them. So separate that. Biden and optic, okay? That day he steps off of Marine One, okay? I've got a Marine wife here watching, okay? She loved her husband. He was a dear person. I never got to meet him, but I've heard all about him. I know he was a great Marine, okay? Marines have been, that's why they call it Marine One. Okay, you can get on Google, DuckDuckGo, whatever you use. I got it all in my documents, but you can get over there and just do this. Just take up, let's see, Clinton, Obama, Bush, Reagan, Bush Sr. So let's just do 5 right there. Get 5 tabs pulled up. Google. Okay, you type in Clinton, Marine One. Bush Jr., Marine One. Okay, Obama, Marine One. Reagan, Marine One. And every one of those will show you, those presidents, when they step off Marine One, it'll have pictures up there. Click on images, and it'll show you every president, Marine One. They're wearing what they call dress blue Charlies, okay? Or blue dress Charlie is, I think, it's the official name for it. Okay? Sorry, Marines. Blue dress Charlie. Okay? That's what they wear when they exit Marine One. Those Marines are standing there on every one of those presidents. Why hasn't Biden's been in blue dress Charlies? Why in Kentucky were they wearing what looked like green Air Force flight suits? They had on a PC cap, what we call a patrol cap, okay? It wasn't even first off, it was a regulation per se, but that patrol cap didn't go with that flight suit, okay? And the flight suit didn't go with the Marine One. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff that we call effed up. I won't use the word, but that's what we call jacked up. You're all jacked up. Go square yourself away. They weren't squared away. They were jacked up. Okay? The other thing, every soldier, even if they would have been in uniform, regulation uniforms, every soldier are also in unison with each other. You wouldn't have one soldier wearing one thing and another soldier wearing another. Okay? Like this. That day, too, showed two guys that they call Marine One, showed two soldiers. One of them's wearing a belt around him. I zoom in on it. It is a brown stock pistol. Okay? Well, when Marines are on base, so like at Camp Pendleton in California, when a Marine police is actually in Marine police uniform, see, Marine One aircraft are different. They wear different uniforms than what Marine police wear on Marine bases, okay, on naval bases. Different uniform, okay? That pistol is, I think, is a M9 Beretta. It's black, you know. Not a brown freaking looking like he just came out of Montana or a freaking James Arness Gunsmoke, okay? Come on, people. I mean, anybody, especially a veteran, if you can look at that and you didn't pick that apart, I question your service. I don't question your heart. I don't question your mind. I question your service, though, because of the fact that you should know what goes against that grain and that fabric of the military. It's just like one time I was at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was on the phone, and I didn't pick my leg up, but this woman thought I did. She was a depender. She was married to a freaking sergeant. Well, when you're in the military, in uniform, you can pivot on whatever foot you pivot on, okay? But you can only use one foot. You can't move while you're on the phone in uniform. You have to stop. You have to use one foot to pivot on. You can move around on that one foot, but you can't walk. Well, she thought I was about to walk. She got in my face and was yelling at me. You would think you're Mr. Bitshot. You can walk and talk on your phone. I wasn't moving. Honest to God, I wasn't moving. But she thought I was. That's how particular the military is. And uniform, okay? That uniform, you die in that uniform. Like I said earlier, the uniform is sacred. It's sacred, okay? And you got to understand that. So that's why I got upset earlier with the guy that came on here, okay? All this is law, regulation, orders, optics, and symbols. I didn't write them. If I did, I'd probably be dead by now. But if a veteran cannot look at a uniform and go, and be telling your buddies, hey man, that wasn't, did you see that? Like, everybody should be telling this, not because I'm telling it. Everybody should be on my Google Documents because I'm telling you what nobody else is telling you. Someone wrote me today and said, you know what, you ought to think about making a show because no one else is telling what you're saying. They're not telling law and regulations. And that's what you need to know first before you know anything else. Okay? The other thing that day in Kentucky, what the media does to you to trick you, is they show you a clip of Biden when he was vice president and Secret Service around him. They take clips of when he was vice president and mix it in with the puppet, okay? And you're supposed to be able to see that. So that day it showed Secret Service around him at the airport, and then it showed no Secret Service when he's walking around out in the fields of Kentucky. I mean, if anybody was going to take a shot at the dude, right, it would be in the field of Kentucky where you got a guy, a good old blue-collar boy who grew up hunting and fishing and in the woods who could take a rifle and a long distance and pop his ass, right? No. First off, it's because it's an optic. Everybody knows in those cities that they go to, they go ahead and tell people, hey, wherever they going to, don't come out here. We're going to be doing this thing. We're doing this thing right here. Whatever they're telling people. I don't know what they're telling people, but there ain't no good old boy that's going to take him out, even though that's not real Secret Service around him. Ain't nobody going to do that. But you should be able to look and tell, God, that is not military regulation uniforms. What? That is all jacked up. And if you don't know, screenshot it and send it to me, and I can go, oh, no, that's not regulation. You know, I don't keep up with it all every day, single day. Okay, so let's move on down. Here's another optic for you. Biden and Kamala Harris, they try. So if you go Google this, you got all your fact checkers out there trying to misconstrue stuff, trying to make you say, oh, no, this wasn't what happened. No, this is actually what happened. This is why this happened, or whatever they say. No. Military will tell you right now. No. Biden and Kamala Harris on Air Force One together flew to Atlanta. This was last year sometime. All right. I've had this in the optics for a while. You don't put the president and your vice president on the same plane. All right. If we did have an enemy right now that wanted to take them out, and if they were actually real, you don't want that intelligence, if they had it, which we know that they didn't anyway, even the real ones didn't, but you wouldn't want your intelligence on the same plane, your two leaders of your nation on the same plane. That was an optic for you right there. You should have been like, that's a no-no. Like, what in the world? Some people did. I know a lot of you did. A lot of you were like, what in the world is going on here? Why they got the president and the vice president on the same plane together? Okay, well, it was an optic. You got to go back to the 40,000-foot view up here and look at all this stuff that I've told you already. You had to be able to see all that going on. You can't just look day to day. You can, because day to day is how we live. But you got to be able to take all that and put it in like a little basket, like when you're collecting Easter eggs, right? You got to be able to do that. Like they got, so my buddy right here, Randy, since you can see his name, and he's actually agreeing here, I'm going to say his name. I wouldn't call out names normally, but Randy, Air Force, and last I checked, I'm pretty sure he was an Air Force pilot. Am I wrong? I think that you were a pilot. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know you were Air Force, but I think you were a pilot. I could be wrong. I do know a few Air Force pilots, though. So you don't put your president and vice president on the same flight, okay? This just don't happen. The other thing is, where is Kamala, by the way? Can someone tell me where she's at? We don't see much about her. We don't hear about her. The left tells you about her. Oh, yeah, Kamala's here today. Matter of fact, my little flight out the other day, it's in my optics. I got it in my optics. You'll be able to see it. I actually have the pictures of the flight. You'll be able to look at it. Kamala, the left said, yeah, that's right. He was Air Force security on Air Force for 12 years. But you did something with Air Force One. I do remember something of that nature. So, okay, so on documents, in pictures, I got the actual pictures of the flight. And I have CBS or whoever else, CNN or one of those major publications. It said Kamala Harris was in Los Angeles at a certain time. It's like 2:30. Well, the flight showed the flight getting in at like 3:30. Okay, so I'm watching a live flight, okay, of the actual aircraft, which is they put them on, it's the Air Force Two, all right, I hadn't seen it lately, I ain't been flying, so then it says she left L.A., and the flight app showed it going to St. Louis, all right, I'm watching the flight live. You go over to freaking CBS and CNN and look at where they said she was. Said she took a detour and went to New Orleans before she went to St. Louis. Nowhere on the flight. I got the flight log, which shows you the flight pattern. It shows you the line and everything. Nowhere does it show dipping down to NOLA and going up to St. Louis. All right? And the time she said her speech was on these major publications was not the time the aircraft landed in St. Louis alone, period. So you got to look at optics. You have to understand what an optic is. And especially Randy there, Air Force guys are the brains of the military. They know optics more than anybody. But when, MOS is like mine, you learn optics because you train with a lot of different people, and then you serve with a lot of different people. My MOS was an attachment MOS. You attached to like tanks, you attached to Rangers, you attached to Special Forces, you attached. So you learn a lot from other people, even though you may not have done it yourself, right? So you learn all that right here. Okay, so where's Kamala? Where is she? Okay, all right, I've already gone over the March 4th coincidences in the Pearl Harbor. Okay, here's another. Randy, I love this one. But this week alone, just this week alone, all right, there's been 3 days where 10 aircraft have flown either by the White House or over the White House. All right, anybody who's a pilot or anybody who's been in the Air Force or anybody who has a license like a drone or anything like that, you got to understand this. FAA regulations, all right, FAA.gov. All right, I didn't write this. This ain't me. Ain't my opinion. This is law. This is government. FAA.gov. There's a 33-mile no-fly zone radius around the District of Columbia. Not around the White House. A 33-mile no-fly zone radius around the District of Columbia. Okay? We have had 10 military aircraft in 3 days this week inside that border. And also, there's another Air Force girl here, my girl Elise. No fly zone. We've had 10 Air Force, excuse me, not Air Force. Well, some are Air Force. We've had 10, I just think about Air Force. We have 10, though. 10 aircraft. It's really not a full 3 days. One of those was like 2 a.m. So it's really like 2 days, 2.2 days. We've had 10 in 2.2 days fly over or by the White House. Also, April the 16th, 2021. My bad. Got to get my days straight. April 16th, 2021. On a press conference, your actress Psaki specifically said, "Ooh, did you hear that? There's an aircraft right ahead." And then CBS and CNN and all them actually told you that 2 F-35 Raptors flew over the White House. I mean, imagine that. They actually told you. They didn't even try to hide it. They just said, yeah, 2 F-35 Raptors flew right over the White House. They told you, the people, but that's optics. See, it's optics. They were telling you all along what's going on, but you didn't know what to look for, some of you, and that's okay. Some of you didn't know what to look for. That's where I'm trying to be, like people say, just teach people. I'm not mad. I'm not calling people dumb and ignorant and all these things. Only when people show it will I call it out. But no, it showed you right in front of you. They're telling you without telling you. They're telling you by showing you. Okay? But, okay, no fly zone radius. All right? The other thing that shows Biden ain't president, the baby formula shortage. Baby formula shortage. Okay? If you read those articles, which are out there, I've got them all in the documents. Don't worry. You don't have to Google all this. Once again, just send me your email. It's a free read. Baby formula. Guess who approved the mission? Secretary of Defense. Not Biden. The Secretary of Defense. What did Trump put in Executive Order 13919 that he authorized the Secretary of Defense to have authorization over whom? The reserve components and the National Guard. And it was Globemasters that flew that in. And a lot of those Globemasters belong to who? The National Guard. Okay? So, there you go. It didn't say anywhere in the articles. Nowhere in the articles does it say Biden anywhere in those articles. Okay, the other thing that shows Biden ain't president happened a week or two ago. I've already said it again, but I'm bring it up again. The Army and military transfer all communications to the Space Force for one command. Only one person is in command. All right? Every single major article, every single .gov, defense.gov, all of them, every single major article that showed you that the military transfers communications to the Space Force for one command, nowhere in any of those articles does it even mention President Biden. Okay? Nowhere. It just says the key word, under one command. Well, if you knew all these laws that I've been showing you, and you knew who actually was president by all those laws, you would know who's in charge and who that one command is. Because all these laws that I'm going to break down when I do the finale here, is going to show you who is president by law, by regulation, by orders, symbols, optics, everything. One command. He is the commander. He also has what I told you earlier. He has powers, war powers that no one else has but the president. War powers. He can shut down broadcast, and he can shut down also internet. Okay? So he has control of that. Baby formula. Biden was nowhere in those mentioned. Secretary of Defense authorized those flights. I'm telling you, gotta think about it. All right. The other thing that shows he ain't president. Why did they build a separate press room? All right. They've been called out on this. You guys have seen it. They're not in the White House. The White House is a ghost town. They built a separate set. Everything that Biden appears on is a set. It's not in D.C. It's actually at what do they call it? Just drew a blank. Culver City, or one of those cities out there. I can't think of the name of it. California. Okay? And they also showed you in the optics in one of the videos behind him, showed a bunch of cranes and a bunch of crates. All right, I've been to Long Beach, California. I've been to all those cities out there. I can tell you right now that everything that they showed behind him in that picture looked identical to Long Beach, California. Been there many times. Okay? Been there, done that. Okay? He is not in D.C. They built it's called the James Brady Press Room. They built a set. I've got all those pictures. They've even showed those on media. Now, the fact checkers in the media tells you all the stuff they want you to hear right now, which is still optics. But it's to distract you. I'm just telling you what's going on by law, and I think everybody should know. I think Charlie Kirk and all these other big dudes should be using their platforms to teach you laws and teach you orders of stuff that happened right in front of you. Everything I told you, if I can know about it, even though I was military, and even though I did have TS clearance, none of that violates clearance. Everything happened right in front of you. And I don't know why these people aren't telling you that. They have full right to. Okay, Charlie Kirk wasn't military, and Charlie Kirk didn't work for Trump. Okay, that I know of, unless he had some role I didn't know about. He don't have active clearance. Okay, so he could tell you, and all these platforms on Telegram could be telling you. I don't know why they don't. That once again, some of them are good at what they're doing, but they're still not showing you how President Trump is president by law. Nothing to do with voter fraud, nothing to do with any of that. And everything else is optics. If they would show you that and get everybody on board, we could get this thing over with a lot quicker, and I wouldn't have to be using my phone for 2 or 3 hours on one video. Okay? I love doing it, but I'm just saying, y'all wouldn't have to sit here and endure this. I appreciate those who sat here and enduring it with me, but, we wouldn't have to do this. We could get this over quicker if you, the people, would understand what matters in this country. Okay, and why Elise served, and why Randy served, and why my buddy Kevin that was on here served, and everybody else, Scott, all my other friends on here that have served, that are watching tonight. Justin, I saw a few people pop on. Festus, everybody who's served in the military, who's watching, it's the reason why we serve. Okay, so it wasn't a secret. Okay, why are there no pictures from the White House? Why is everything zoomed in on Biden? Nothing's ever zoomed out. You don't ever see him zoomed out anywhere. There's you an optic right there. I'm showing you optics now if you're just hopping on board. Okay, why was there no State of the Union address this past year? Why didn't we get one this year and last year? Well, we've gone 2 years now without a State of the Union address. I was in a hotel the other day in Oklahoma on a trip, and they had CNN up. Well, I'm able to step outside my zone and see what they're looking and saying because I get my optics that way. And they got on there, it's got a hashtag State of the Union. They did the State of the Union for you. It's CNN. Not your president, not the one you think is president. No, we don't get a State of the Union from the president. We've gotten it every year in the history of our country, but we don't get one from Biden. He's special, remember? He sat in a basement. He got the most votes in United States history for sitting in a basement. Boy, I'll tell you what, people. All right, here's another optic for you. George Bush Jr. said it at his daddy's funeral. Okay, we're not going to get into conspiracy theories, but I can 100% tell you that George Bush Sr. died by a firing squad. That's not a conspiracy theory. You're going to learn about Gitmo very soon. Just this week alone, there were 3 aircraft with the call sign Gitmo flying from South Florida, near Mar-a-Lago, flying down to Gitmo, call sign. And they were all special military aircraft. They weren't fighter jets, and they weren't cargo planes, and they weren't any kind of aircraft like that. They were VIP transports. Okay? So, George Bush Sr., it'll all come out down the road. Military tribunals. If you don't believe me in this 2 or 3 hour video that I'm doing, I've got a link that shows you military tribunals. It's 772 pages. You're welcome. I didn't write it. Military did. So you're welcome to go there and read those, or you can just sit here and listen to Law and Order and understand that versus 772 pages of military tribunal alone. Okay? So George Bush Jr. gave you an optic at his daddy's funeral. Y'all had to be listening, ladies. Ladies love words more than men do. Men are like, what's going on? Women love words better than men. Okay? And keywords. And keen on that. Okay? George W. gave you an optic. He said, as I was on a few days, just a day or two before my dad died, I was on the phone with him. All right? I'm going to tell you what right now. My sister's watching this, and we love our daddy. All right? I don't know anybody that's ever had a good daddy that don't love their daddy. Okay? If you had a good daddy, you loved him. Okay? And if you knew your daddy, you could be on your deathbed with your dad right by his side. If you knew your dad was going to die, it wasn't something like a plane crash or a car accident or something tragic like that. If you knew your dad was in hospice care or a care like that or in the hospital, and you could be by your dad, especially a former president, what other things he got going on, right? Why would he have to be on the phone with him? Maybe because it was an optic. He wasn't really on the phone with him. He's actually in Gitmo with him, okay? And a lot of you are going to learn what Gitmo does. And you're going to understand why Trump wrote an executive order and why his order matters and why everything you've seen with Biden, it's all optics. By law and regulation. Not opinion. I've given you everything by law that you can tangibly look up and you can tangibly go Google or just get on my Google Docs where every link is known to .gov, .mil, and .us sites. There's no crazy, wacky link that goes off to some dude in his basement in Des Moines, Iowa, okay, or wherever. It's all .gov, .mil, .us. And this is where you have to brag a little bit, because I've had people, even I, have had a couple of people I thought friends say, how could you have top secret clearance? How did you were only this in the military. You were only that. Look, military law and military regulations and military optics, operations, symbols, the Constitution, U.S. law, federal law, U.S. codes have nothing to do with rank and how long you were in the military. They have everything to do with this right here. You yourself, everybody I'm watching right now, and everybody's been watching this, all you got to do is apply it right here. You got to be willing to read and research and apply, okay? And then understand how to apply it. It's that simple. It's really that simple, okay? But people don't make it simple, okay? But George Bush, he gave you an optic right there. They also passed a little note around that day, and that note had a certain saying in it, okay? And it told them it was all game over, okay? So you're going to understand what Gitmo is in coming days. There will be visual military tribunals. Everything I've said to you will come to fruition. It will come out. It's going to happen. It ain't going to happen tomorrow. It ain't going to happen the next day. You know, that's where people that know me are like, every day they text me, what's happening today? What's happening today? Look, I am just a messenger interpreting the law for you. I'm showing you what's happening. I've showed you what's happening. It's still happening. As long as the National Guard are out of their states and they're out of this country, they're in full operation. When you turn on the TV and you see a gold fringe flag behind every person, it's still in operation, okay? I'm sitting here, like I said, I keep looking over here. I'm looking at, we got a bunch of aircraft in the sky still right now as we speak. There are a ton. For 10 p.m., there's a lot of military in the sky as I'm looking right now. A lot of big birds, too, at that. Okay, National Guard everywhere. All right, we've got some fighter pilots up in the sky. Okay, we got, a ton of aircraft in the sky as I look. National Guard. Their call signs also tell me a lot of cool stuff that I'm watching. Beautiful call signs. Okay, here's one right here called Top Cat. I've got Top Cat in my optics probably more than anybody. It's an RC-135W rivet joint out of Lincoln, Nebraska, which is a National Guard base. He is currently in Kansas right now. The only way he can be in Kansas is to be federally activated by the president. The only person who has federally activated our troops once again to federal duty, which is called federalizing, is Donald John Trump. Even if you thought Biden was real, Biden ain't done jack diddly doo-doo. He ain't done nothing. And you can visually see it. Now, if I didn't have visual evidence of the National Guard, like I said last night, I'd have to just hang on, law, and say hang on and wait for it. But no, I have visual evidence that this activation and this covert operation is in order and it's active. Okay? Just because the National Guard, the only way any of your states can be out of their state was to be federally activated. They were federally activated right in front of you January the 6th and January the 17th, 2021. The order has not been rescinded. There was a plane yesterday, National Guard, coming out of Germany to the U.S. National Guard, okay? National Guard, they don't do that. They don't just do that. You have to understand military law and regulations, and you have to understand operations of every branch and also the military as a whole. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. The Alamo speech. This is my last note of today. All right, the Alamo speech was an optic that Trump gave you back in January 2021. The reason why I love this one personally, I save it because I have been a native of Texas for a long time. I say a resident of Texas for a long time. I'm a native of Alabama, as you can see right here. And I have been a resident of Texas a long time. All right. I did my master's degree in Colorado. I've lived in 9 states total, matter of fact. But the reason why I love the Alamo speech so much is because of my connection of Alabama and Texas. All right. In my little town in Alabama, where I lived the longest, probably one of the longest, my little town is known for a Alamo hero. He's called the hero of the Alamo. All right. So President Trump, one of his last speeches in January 2021, which was an optic for you, the people, he was saying this for a reason. He went to the Alamo for a reason. In Alamo history, William Barrett Travis, who was born in my little town, he was born in South Carolina, he grew up in my little town in Alabama. William Barrett Travis drew a line in the sand. And he wrote a famous letter that Texans love really well. It's called Victory or Death. And the reason why Texans love the Alamo so much is because the Pony Express didn't get to the Alamo in time. The Pony Express from D.C. The Pony Express was riding down to tell them the war's over. You don't have to fight this war. Even if you throw up a white flag, it's not a retaliation. It won't dishonor your uniform. The war's over. It didn't get there in time. All right. All those men, William Barrett Travis, David Bowie, Crockett, they all died at the Alamo. And they didn't have to. But they loved the Republic of Texas so much, and they loved what Texas was doing so much, that they were still willing to die. And they took out half of 3,000 Mexicans with only about 100 or 200 men. All right. They mutilated a lot for the Republic of Texas. All right. And William Barrett Travis, he was from my little town. He was 26 years old when he died. All right. He studied up under an attorney because back then they didn't have the bar exam. It wasn't a political BS system like it's been the last 150 years. He studied up under an attorney. He penned himself colonel, lieutenant colonel, and he made himself the commander of the Alamo when Bowie got sick at 26 years old. He learned enough Spanish that the women and children that survived the Alamo remembered him going, "No rendirse, muchachos!" Anybody who speaks Spanish can tell you what that means. Do not surrender, boys. Do not surrender. That's why Texans love the Alamo more than all the other battles in Texas history, because those men died for Texas and didn't have to. They were willing to, and they did, because of the future of Texas. That's why Texans act different than anybody else. That's why the Republic of Texas can also fly the flag the same height as American flag, because it was a republic itself. Okay? You got to know all those things. Okay? That's why President Trump, used the Alamo as his line in the sand, because William Barrett Travis drew a line in the sand, and he told the guys, he said, "Boys, those who stand on this side of the line with me will surely die. You're going to die right here. We already know it. We're surrounded, and we're not surrendering. I'm not surrendering, and whoever stays with me will show you're not going to surrender." The only reason we know about this was because the one traitor, Napoleon, okay? Napoleon left. That's the only reason we know about it. So some people say, is he really a traitor or not? That's up to debate. I'll let you decide on that. But I'm not going to say that or not. We wouldn't have had this story had it not been for him. Okay? So that's why Trump's speech, President Trump's speech, was so important in January 2021 and also on January the 6th, when he told you the next 2 weeks moving forward would be the most monumental and historical in your lifetime, your children's lifetime, your great-grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren. You know how long that is? Do you know what kind of history, I say that on purpose, you know what kind of historic history that is? That your children's great-grandchildren will be living to talk about this. It wasn't some old white, you know what, with his hairy legs and pony soldier boy or dog pony soldier or whatever it is, and all his stupid soldier, like soldier stories and all this stuff that he didn't even have. Okay, it wasn't that. I can assure you that. Okay, it's guys like me who you thought were crazy or you thought were insane when I first told you what's going on is going on, and you've visually seen it. Because I can tell you right now about everything that I told you. I'm finishing up. Everything that I told you is law, and it's already happened, and it's still happening right in front of you. And by powers of the president, in January, when you saw Donald John Trump, by constitutional and military regulation, be inaugurated in a ceremony, and you now know that Biden was given a military regulation funeral service by all regulations of the military, from a veteran telling you, I can tell you right now, by these different things, I'm going to read them again, right here again for you, why Donald John Trump is still your president, and not because of voter fraud. Here's why he's president. Military law, military regulations, military symbols, military optics, all right, national emergencies, presidential emergencies, executive orders, the Stafford Act, the Presidential Emergency Act, the Insurrection Act of 1807, the Stafford Act, which I just said, Title 10, Title 32, and then another one right here, 47 United States Code 606. I saved that for last. 47 United States Code 606. You know what it's titled? War Powers of the President. War Powers of the President. Do you know the last person who used 47 United States Code 606? It's the same thing Donald Trump said out of his mouth multiple times. Pearl Harbor. This is why optics and law are important. Pearl Harbor. The last president to use 47 United States Code 606 was Franklin D. Roosevelt when the last inauguration, the original inauguration, March the 4th, was used. Okay? Franklin D. Roosevelt served 13 years, 4 terms. He died in office. Had he not died in office, he would have served until the what was over? The war was over. World War II. Okay? That's why optics are important. But that's why law is important, regulations are important, symbols are important, and optics are important. The last president to use 47 United States Code 606 was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Also the time period when they what? They issued a puppet for president in the Philippines, which is what Donald Trump is doing with Biden. The military put the puppet in to keep this controlled environment going where you, the people, would go on bitching and whining and griping and moaning because you never were paying attention in the first place. So we don't need you in the way of this operation. We didn't need the good old boys that think they'll fight for this country who won't. You won't fight for it because you have to fight for it every day. You don't tell some veteran that, oh, I would have joined the service, but I had an ear problem. You lie about that. My grandpa was 17 years old. He lied about his age to get in the military. He lied and got in, successfully got in during World War II. Now, the war was already going on. My grandpa went and signed up and lied about his age. So don't hand some veteran some bullcrap that you'll fight for this country if you have to. You have to. Every day, you have to understand the foundation. You have to understand why you're in this country. You have to understand that military came first. You have to understand that military can act with or without Congress. The military don't need Congress telling them what they can and can't do. The same with the damn mask. You don't need anybody telling you what you can and can't do if you want to on your own. That's why the Constitution protects you as a whole. It don't protect certain groups. It don't protect certain groups and certain groups only to exclude certain people. It protects you as a whole. If you want to smoke something at your house, smoke it. I don't give a rat's ass if you want to smoke something. If you want to drink something you ain't supposed to drink, I want you to drink it because you want to drink it. Not because I want you to, because you want to. If you want to be gay, be gay. I want you to be gay because you want to be gay. You have to account to God for yourself, not me. I have to account for God for me. I don't want you telling me what I can and can't do in my household, okay? So the Constitution protects you as a whole, and we got to get rid of this whole division bullcrap. The corporation of America is falling. It's currently falling, and we need you to understand law, foundation, regulation, optics. Get on board with this because this will protect you and your livelihoods and whatever you do. You have to account to God or whatever you believe in yourself. I will support you. Now, I want you to go to where I think I'm going when I leave this world. But if you don't want to go there and whatever you believe, I'm not going to slander you. But you got to understand the Constitution protects you as a whole. And you have to understand that the original Constitution and the original way that veterans and the original way that soldiers believe protects you as a whole. It don't have anything to do with division. It has nothing to do with race, nationalities, your sexual preferences, your religion preferences. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with it in a different way. That's my cool double standard that I'm talking about. Okay? So you have to understand laws and foundations of this nation first. And understand it. Everything I just named to you, all those acts and all those laws extended Trump's powers as president. That ain't an opinion. That's law. And if we don't abide by law, and if we don't have laws, then what are we doing? Right? What are we doing? Why do we pay taxes? Good point. Why? We have a system for a reason. We got to correct it. Yeah, we got to go in and clean it out, which is what's happening. But this whole nonsense stuff of this whole, I'd serve my country if I had to. I'd be a patriot if I have to. All these good old boys talking about, I'll do this, I'll do that. Yeah, you would. You might shoot someone for breaking in your house. But the military didn't need and didn't want, this is why it was kept controlled. They didn't want the good old boy going out in the street like Rittenhouse did up there with his little AR, right? 17 years old walking down the street. We don't need some good old boys out in the street that don't know what's going on, like the 2 dumbass veterans that go to Ukraine and get their ass stuck over there. Now they want us to come get them, okay? They want the military, of which they claim they served in, to come get them, okay? So we don't need the good old boys out in the streets. That's what the military said. We're going to control this as long as we control it and keep it non-visual from the patriots and from the people out there as long as we can. Okay? Because we don't need you. Military is the intelligence of the military is beyond your imagination. Space Force, the intelligence communities, you will never comprehend what goes on in a day in the military alone, much less every single branch, much less every single agency, much less every single intelligence. You wouldn't be able to comprehend it, okay? Some people can. It's okay if you don't. I'm not bashing you. I'm just saying, this is a big, this is a massive covert operation. There's a lot of people behind this. They kept it quiet and they kept it controlled for a reason. Because they didn't want good old boys out in the streets not knowing what's going on and then getting their dumb asses killed because they didn't know what was going on. Okay? So they kept it quiet. I'm only telling you because it wasn't a secret. So they're trying to wake you the people up. Every facet of life has to be awoken. I'm going to call it awoken because the proper word right now is called, are you woke or not? You have to be awakened in every single way. If it affects your paycheck, if it's your kids, I hate it for it. I do, but we had too many people in this country who don't appreciate the foundation. So therefore you have to do what? You have to scare some people. All right? And the quicker y'all can learn that, and the quicker you can learn law and foundation and foundational premises, and also understand that my way of law, which is constitutional, which is military law, regulations, orders, federal, Constitution, Marlboro versus Madison, the original Constitution before this division bullcrap, if you'd understand that people like me, if you were a Democrat before, if you were watching this, if you were a liberal before you were watching this, whatever you were, if you weren't on the conservative side of things, if you would understand that that has nothing to do with your livelihood. If you're gay, whatever you are, gay, atheist, look, everything you've witnessed and that people witnessed the last 150 years, Corporation of America. Create a problem you already have a solution to. Chaos and division equals power acquisition. All right? And we got to get back to ethics again. We got to get back to morals again. We got to get back to honor again. We got to get back to honesty again. We got to get back to communication again. We have to be able to talk. All this texting bull crap that people want to do now. Girls today, females want to text to get to know somebody. You know, you can't get to know someone via text. You got to understand personalities. You got to listen to personalities, listen to tone and texture and expressions. You know, some people would say, oh, he's got an anger problem. I don't have an anger problem. I have a personality problem. I'm passionate. I'm passionate about the United States. I'm passionate about military. I'm passionate about my brothers and my sisters. I'm passionate about you, the people. I'm passionate about a lot of things. It don't mean that I'm got anger issues because I show passion. Okay, I guarantee you, when my cousins and my family go to a game, don't no haters get on here. When you see that little Alabama right back there, I'm going to tell you what, Alabama and Auburn people and LSU people, oh my goodness, boy, I mean, and I can name more. Boy, Georgia people, when they get on their teams, boy, oh my gosh, you talking about they want to fight each other. They want to fight over a game. If we had that passion that people have over an Alabama-Auburn game, that if we had that kind of passion, get behind military law and military regulations and Constitution and federal law, and get behind people, gay people, straight people, atheist people, whatever you are out there, and say, hey, look, I want you to be safe. Military protects you as a whole. You're only as free as your surroundings allow you to be. And your surroundings were brought to you by guys like my dad, my brother, my nephew, my cousins, my buddies that were on here. I'll talk about me last. I am a veteran, yes, but I'll talk about me last. I've got buddies who died for you, okay? We got buddies who died for you, okay? Arlington's not the only memorial cemetery in this country. There are a ton of memorial cemeteries. Nashville has a big one. Denver, Colorado has a big one. I mean, they're all over this country. And most of these kids, they were so young. They were 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, majority of them. Never got to live their life where you can, okay? So you being gay and straight and atheist and none of that stuff, it has everything, but it has nothing to do. It depends on how you look at that angle, okay? But the Constitution protects you as a whole, and we got to get that foundation back. We got to get it back, okay? Because the original Constitution that I believe in, the original foundation that I believe in and I know about and that we fought for and the way the military views it, is for all of you. I can promise you and assure you that. And I'm going to tell you what, if you were a critic of Donald Trump before, you're going to learn the man, he took a lot of bullets for you, virtual bullets. The man has upheld the law. He's done everything in full accordance to the law. He listened to the military. He listened to his intelligence community. Okay? Nobody, well, that ain't all perfect, but it's pretty dang close to perfect. Alabama has a song that's close enough to perfect for me. It was pretty close enough to perfect. And I'm telling you right now, by law, everything I've told you in this video, by all those laws, President Trump extended his power as president, but he also was given the full military constitutional regulation inauguration. And Joe Biden received a full-fledged military-grade funeral service. And by all of those laws that I just sat there and told you, I'm going to say them again. Military law, military regulations, executive orders, national emergencies, presidential emergencies, a PED, a Presidential Emergency Active Document, the Insurrection Act of 1807, the Presidential Emergency Act, the Stafford Act, Title 10, Title 32, and 47 United States Code 606 all prove and show how Donald Trump is still your president. Love you guys.